There we go. All right, we're live. What up? What's happening, brother?
What's going on?
Well, another week down and another week to talk about, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Good
S-
morning. Good morning.
So
Coffee,
we
salute.
yeah, we changed the name of this. So it was something was I just threw it together because that's what I had called it previously, but we're going with coast to coast elevated coffee talk because I always have my coffee. I'm always elevated on Saturday morning.
Mm,
I'm on the West Coast, you're on the East Coast. So therefore, coast to coast, elevated coffee talk. Sounds good to me.
beautiful. Absolutely. No, because in no way are we considering ourselves elevated other than the fact that we high.
I
I'm
done
so high, I don't even know what's
smoked,
going on right now.
smoked out. Oh my God, you bad people and your cannabis. Gives you all these bad ideas.
Well, speaking on that, I was speaking to my cousin the other day, and I might have to bring that onto an episode as well so that people can hear. But my cousin is an attorney out here in the Tampa Bay area,
Oh
Courtney
yeah, what kind
Benson,
of attorney?
defense attorney.
Mm.
So both federal and state. So shout out to Cuzzo CMB Law for anybody here in the Bradenton, Tampa area. But we were talking about that. We were talking about marijuana and such, and she was enlightening me on a rule change, a law change that the public really can't know about out here. But it's now the smell of marijuana is not probable cause anymore. So it has to be the smell of marijuana, and it just cannot be the smell of marijuana for cops to approach you anymore. And if I would have known that when them cops came out and snatched me out in Orlando the way that they did over the smell of me just sitting there smoking a bowl in the hotel parking lot at 10:30 at night by myself, I still had a lawsuit against those guys, but I had no they caught me off guard, man, and I allowed myself to be put in an emotional state, and I just wasn't thinking, and I lost an opportunity.
Mm. Yeah, it's the whole weed thing, man. It's always been it's something that I've always consumed and it's always been a part of my life, but it's also been demonized quite a bit. And it follows that same sort of, thing that these power structures do, and they flip it. And so
Mm,
it's the opposite of what it is that is being presented to us. So they present, oh, X, Y, and Z, but it's actually the opposite of that. You know what I mean? They come in as oh, we're trying to help you and do this and do that and do this and do that. And we just need you to buy in. We need the buy-in from you, from the public.
mm,
We care about you. We love you. We want to help you. We want to make sure that you and your family are safe and secure. The honey that goes into your ears. You know what I mean? It sounds so amazing. Oh God, I wish I could just be there. How do I get a ticket? You
mm.
know what I mean? And
Yeah,
then it's the opposite of that. It's like, all right, well, now we're gonna poison you and kill you. Not that drastic, but I mean, sometimes it probably feels that way.
in a sense, no, absolutely. Because that's at the end of the day, it's all about fear mongering, right?
Mhm,
So
you can
all of that, man. When you go, if you can go back, if people really don't know, right, you can go back, look at the marketing back in the 30s and 40s, 50s, 60s against marijuana, right? This was the Satan's drug. This was, the devil's weed. You were gonna go crazy. It was gonna make you, do horrific satanic things. Come on, get
Yeah,
off the
come
gas.
on, man. Come on. Come on. Yeah, some
Uh,
Mexicans like weed, who cares? Doesn't mean that if anybody's ever smoked a joint or taken an edible, and not like fuck themselves off and ruined it for themselves by taking too much. But if they actually got into that like sweet spot, they would understand that this is something different. You know what I mean? It's something that expands your mind, makes you think about stuff. It literally, I mean, especially if you take edibles, man, that shit puts you in such a sort of a space where you're navigating your own mind and talking yourself down. You know what I mean? You're literally training yourself to go, "Hey man, this isn't real. What you're experiencing right now is not real. It's just the drug. Time will fix this." Right?
Mhm.
You just got to wait that shit out.
If
Oh
you're
man.
able to sustain that way, I mean, there's been many fashions where, like you said, I've had to talk myself down, and without realizing that that was the correct thing to do. I just really it was out of sheer, not wanting to look like the clown at the party. You know what I mean? It was just
Mhm.
not wanting to embarrass myself, but in all actuality, because of that, I'm sitting on the couch, and everything's boom, 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 as
Mhm.
a teenager, and I'm sitting there, my legs are numb. I can remember this precisely. I had a piss. That's what it was. I had to get up and go to the bathroom, and we're at this party, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, I'm blazed. So I have to be careful. So I'm patting my legs, making sure I got feeling in my legs. I'm stomping them on the ground a little bit, and but I'm telling myself the whole time, "You're okay. You're okay, man. You're okay. You got this." But
Yeah,
that's
right.
exactly it.
All right, I'm trying to invite you onto this the TikTok because I'm over here. Now, do I just push the invite button? All right, so anybody who's watching me and listening to this right now on TikTok, I'm not that savvy with this shit.
I'm still trying to I haven't even gotten to the TikTok yet. I'm still trying to share this out. We just jumped in and dove in and went head first. So I'm trying to share this out now through the platforms. And then I gotta go get my charging cable actually, and
Because
then
I don't
warm
I
up my
don't
coffee.
yeah, because I don't see where oops, I keep moving this shit away from these things. I don't see where it says where you
I
can
have to
add
come
somebody.
when you go live.
Hmm.
Are you live right now?
Yeah.
So down in your right hand corner somewhere around in there, you should have a little button that says multi-guest or something like that. And then when you hit that,
Oh yeah, there it goes, right down there.
yeah,
So it tells me I can invite somebody, but does it give me a search option to who I can invite?
yeah, it should
No,
be
it
your
says
friends, but
viewers.
I'll come on in here in 1 second.
All right. So if you're watching on TikTok, what's up? Good morning. This is uh I'm the host of the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast, and Thomas FreeMe over there is the host of the Thomas FreeMe Show on YouTube. And we decided we'd start a coast to coast elevated coffee talk. We've been doing this for a couple of weeks. Last week it was Saturday Morning Perspectives, and so we finally settled on a name. So we're gonna go with Coast to Coast Elevated Coffee Talk. And the reason why we say Elevated Coffee Talk, everybody over on TikTok, is we is elevated today, and not meaning that we're super smart, because I'm not claiming to be super anything. I find my information from credible sources out there that I've vetted through a lot of different one is a podcast, two is talking to a lot of different alternative media sources and folks that I'm connected with. And here we go. There you go. And we decided that there's a lot of crazy shit going on right now, and there's not a lot of talk about it. And we decided that since we like talking about that kind of shit, that we have conversations right in front of you, right out in the open for everybody to hear. And
Yeah,
hopefully,
absolutely.
and hopefully we don't go too far down the line and I get I get suspended from TikTok again, because I just got off of a 1 week sit down, cool off.
Sit your ass down, kid.
Oh yeah, you right wing nut job. You
Mm.
well, I'm not right wing. I'm not anything. I'm politically homeless. I don't trust none of them dirtbags.
Oh, I got to come back out and come back in. I didn't hit my video.
Uh-oh.
Can I change? Oh, no, I can change it inside without coming out. Can I?
So if you're watching on TikTok, if you want, you can come over to our YouTube channel and let me go. If you go over to SeanDustin.com, you can find my YouTube stuff right from there. My YouTube channel link, or oh, you know what? I can just, if you go to YouTube, right? My handle is SeanDustin1, or you just go to SeanDustin.com, you can find it there. But we're live streaming right now. So if you want to jump in the comments over on YouTube, my Facebook channel, or my Facebook page, that's where it's going down. And you know that StreamYard added a feature that means that I could allow you as my guest to live stream this directly to your platforms through StreamYard. So that's pretty cool.
Say that again.
So we can I can give you access to, I'm not sure where it is that you do it, but I read it the other day that you can now, I'm live streaming to all my platforms. I can invite you through StreamYard to live stream to your platforms too. Before, like, you can live stream this directly to your YouTube channel, directly to your Facebook channel, your Twitch channel, your whatever.
Understood. And that is that's what I'm really trying to do with my co-host on Thursday night, because you know my podcast is yeah, it's on YouTube, but I am proud to say now that I am a syndicated podcast, so I can be heard on every platform.
Ooh.
But now, more importantly, I will be, my Thursday night show, Thursday Night Get Right, will be premiered on 88.5 WMNF here in the Tampa Bay area. So super excited about that. Just
Sweet.
growing. You know, it's a shocker that we can talk about the prison industrial system the way that we can, and get notoriety for that, you know, and get syndicated for that. So that that shows that we're taking steps in the right direction. So I'm super happy about that. And that kind of goes into what we're going to talk about today with Hunter Biden and this laptop and him suing the laptop repairman.
That's an interesting move.
What's a dirtbag move, and it speaks to the morality of the family, you know.
The
Honestly,
crime family.
yeah, you know, because it's like, why are you going to sue the laptop repairman? You know, for what? Come on, you knew what you were doing, and you knew what you were doing was violating America. You're just mad because there's pictures of you looking like laying in bed with a crack pipe hanging out of your mouth, and all the things that you were doing with those kids.
And a
You
crack
know?
pipe hanging from your other thing. And a crackhead
Yeah.
hanging from your other thing.
President's son.
Yeah. You know, there's just so much wrong with that. You know what I mean? That just him alone, just him being that is a security concern. You know what I mean, for the nation, because that's a weak spot. That's a weak point in the president's whatever, you know what I mean? Because you're going to do whatever you got to do for your kid, right? Maybe I don't know. These folks, they tend to use their children for things not necessarily like what something you and I would do as a regular person.
No, I mean that's true, but you know, if I was the public, if I was the public guy, right, I would take advantage of that, because I see this as this is the issue in America. How many of how many of our children are addicted, right? So and the president's son is addicted. So it would give him a camaraderie with the issues going on here in America, because But instead of hiding it or lying against it, for this image thing, this is why we are where we are, because we're worried about our image first over what the actual issue is.
Mhm. And for those of you out there, I mean, don't I'm not taking any sides here. I think there's a couple of different there's a different like there's questions here, right? There's questions of should this individual be protected under whistleblower law, right? Or did the laptop repairman exceed his authority in getting into the laptop, right? Now, did he get in? Now, so here's abandonment, right? So if you abandon said laptop and don't come in to get it, you don't answer any calls, you don't return messages, you don't do any of that stuff, right? So now here's this laptop it's unclaimed. You know whose it is, but it's unclaimed at this point, right? You're not getting paid for it, you're not anything. So you've done the work. How are you going to get paid for it? So it's nothing different than, let's just say, like somebody who repairs a car, right?
Mm.
What's that person what's the mechanic going to do when you repair the car, right? And you come in and you abandon that car. Well, he's going to go and try to get a title, get the title, go through the process where the DMV, where they get the title for the abandonment, and then they're going to sell it, right? Probably more than likely they're going to sell it, donate it, whatever. They're going to try and get some sort of a financial value out of it. This is a little bit different, right? And so does the abandonment of that laptop open the doors for it to be able to be gotten into, right? Accessible, and the contents in it. Now, is that, I mean, I don't know. Do you think that he should have, like, I don't know. I would think that's kind of a gray area. You know what I mean? It's like, on the one
Well,
hand, no, it's not right to get into somebody else's shit, right? It's like getting into a diary or a journal, right? In a sense. Now, is that okay to do? You know what I mean? If somebody leaves their journal, I mean, look at fucking part of the same goddamn family. His daughter in her diary. Remember that?
yes.
So
But
I
I
mean,
mean, it's I think it's all about the intent, right? Because our laws, I believe, were genuinely written to protect us from maliciousness, right? Eh, just over time, prosecutors, defense attorneys, the justice system has learned how to use these laws um, in their own fashions. But I believe that the laws, in the general sense, were written to protect us from maliciousness. So, in this sense, when we're talking about privacy, things of that nature, I think it really just kind of boils down to how the laptop was received, the the stipulations behind that, and that moving forward, right? So we know that I think it was 2019, some individual who claimed to be Hunter Biden dropped this laptop off at a repair shop, right?
mhm.
What happened after that? Did he not go back for the laptop?
I don't know, but I pulled up an article from the BBC News, and BBC is actually better. Like, if you're gonna, it's a better. In my opinion, they give more credible information because it's not their country.
Mhm.
So this is from BBC. It says Hunter Biden sues repairman over release of personal data from laptop. Hunter Biden, the U.S. president's embattled son, is suing a Delaware computer repair shop owner over the handling of his private laptop. Mr. Biden and his attorneys alleged John Paul Mac Isaac. Jesus Christ, he's got fucking four first names.
Hmm.
John Paul Mac Isaac illegally copied and distributed private information from the laptop's hard drive. The personal data was used by Republicans to attack Joe Biden during the 2020 presidential election, which was then hidden by the by Twitter. In a suit he filed last year, Mr. Isaac accused Hunter Biden, the Biden 2020 campaign, a Democratic congressman, and two U.S. media outlets of defaming him by claiming he illegally accessed the data. Hunter Biden counterclaim filed on Friday in a Delaware district court claims Mr. Isaac gave away his data to political enemies because he opposed his father's candidacy. Just that wording sounds so juvenile, right? Like, it just sounds like kid shit. And it would like, so what this sounds like is the laptop owner sued him for defamation of character. Now he's countersuing for getting into the shit. So just further muddying the water, you know what I mean, around the facts. So Hunter Biden's counterclaim filed on Friday in a Delaware district court claims Mr. Isaac gave away his data to, he opposed father candidacy. The document alleged that the repairman sent copies of the hard drive to his father in New Mexico and to a lawyer who worked with Mr. Trump's then personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Giuliani and other allies of Mr. Trump, including Steve Bannon, would later gain access to some of the data. Mac Isaac intended and knew, or clearly should have known, that people whom he provided the data that he believed to belong to Mr. Biden would use it against then candidate Joseph Biden and to assist then President Trump, the filing reads. It adds that disseminating private data in this manner is offensive and objectionable to Mr. Biden and would be highly offensive and objectable to any reasonable person. Okay, well, if it was that bad, then why'd you do it? And why would you put it on a fucking laptop where that you put into the public and left? Like, that's no different than leaving it really on a fucking bench, on a park bench somewhere for anybody to just grab it. In my opinion, abandon is abandon.
Well, but did he abandon it? That's what I'm trying to find out, because I can't find that anywhere. So it goes mysteriously from him dropping the laptop off to Giuliani giving a report to the New York Post about the relationship with Hunter Biden and the Ukrainian businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's but where did that happen? See, again, all of this came in the midst of all of the Donald Trump stuff, right? It came in the midst of all of this, and this where we get into the maliciousness of it. So where is it okay at? Is it okay because this is Biden's son, and you know, the ties that could possibly be leading us to World War III, right?
Mm-hmm.
But where does that stop? Because the prosecutor is going to say the same thing. The prosecutor is going to say, yeah, you know, okay, I broke a couple laws, but we got bad people off the street. And the public is going to side with that every time until it's them that is now being violated. Their privacy is being violated and used against them.
Mm.
So where does the line stop at? That's the thing.
And is this just a distraction to take away from the more important points? Burisma, Ukraine, corruption, all of the other things. So if they throw this laptop and all of Hunter's indiscretions out there, that really deflects from his father.
That sent half of America on a wild goose chase.
Yeah, he's running interference for his pops still. You know, there's nothing. Everything is a grift, man. Everything's a grift, or it's a Ponzi scheme, which is the same thing. I just like grift better. It sounds cooler.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely a Ponzi scheme. There's no question about that.
Yeah, all the
Definitely no
motherfucking
question about
grifters.
that.
Grifters
Good morning,
and
my
shake
TikTok
shifters.
family. How's everybody doing this morning? Thank you for joining me in off the share, Miss Janelle, Miss
All right.
Amina. So
potential tax crimes. What was Hunter
I'm live
Biden?
over here on YouTube, and we're sitting here just talking about Hunter Biden, the laptop, him suing the laptop tech guy. And and just the whole mess behind that. But absolutely, man, I can absolutely see this as a distraction.
Mhm.
Me as personally, I just go and just handle my day. I ain't got time to worry about Hunter Biden and his laptop and all that stuff. Because if
But
it was me and my laptop, I'd be in prison. So that's the question. How come he's not in jail?
well, because he's protected. He's a protected
Mhm.
class.
Of
He's from
course.
that billionaire class. Or even though Joe Biden probably isn't a billionaire, he works for the billionaires. They are just the folks that I believe, not all of them. Okay. There are some people that are actually trying to do some good shit. I don't know who, because I mean, you listen to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and how she's, so passionate about, her stance on everything, but yet she's invested in all these vaccine companies, and you know what I mean? And so it's like, it's it, it's like
Hmm.
it's like they're on a spectrum, right? They're on a spectrum of corruption. Over here is, well, we're kind of corrupt, but we really care about what's going on and we want to make a difference. But at the same time, we want to make money too. So we want to get invested in all these things that, that they're spitting that shit around with their colleagues, right? Hey, you should get into this over here, blah, 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 blah. So there's insider trading going on between all of them. You
Oh,
know
of
what I mean?
course.
And
That's how Nancy
information.
Pelosi is worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
And Paul Pelosi is a fucking expert
Hmm.
on the stock market. That guy can't lose. He can't miss. He's doing better than Warren Buffett.
I'm telling you. Of course. But there was a story out here in Pasco County, and I don't know how true it is, but there was definitely a story going on around here, and I know this to be true, that they were the police. When I say they, anytime I say they, these people, any of that, I'm always talking about the police and the government, just for as a disclaimer. But these people were raiding drug dealers out here, and they were finding in these houses, these drug houses out here, cages, right?
Mhm.
And they were finding out that humans were being stored in these cages. Like, they were finding these huge cages inside of these homes. When it come to find out who owned the homes, right?
Mhm.
It all traced back to your guy out there in California, Pelosi's brother, and his real estate investments and company. And then you
Ooh.
didn't hear anything else about the story. It all went dark.
Now, do you think that that has anything to do with? Remember, I sent you that Arizona Senate election hearing committee uh, uh, meeting, and that woman came out and she started laying out this 120-page investigation that's been going on for like 4 years, and it
Mm,
had to do with the cartels and how all these border towns are literally in the cartel's pockets, and they're using deeds. There's some crazy shit at how she explained it, and it's like, holy shit. You know what I mean? It's like,
absolutely.
if this is real, if this is true, oh my god, no wonder. You know what I mean? And it's like, you just, when you think that it can't get any crazier,
Hmm.
but wait, there's more.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question, man. You don't think that Biden and his family and these people, these officials are getting money from the cartel to allow these individuals to come across the border? Come
No,
on, man.
absolutely.
That's free money from the cartel. That's cash, untraceable money. That's money that you can put in bury in the ground somewhere and always have it there. In 100 years, your family could dig it up and it'll be theirs. Oh, look what we found.
Yeah, hey. And I mean, that is the way, right? I mean, if you're really gonna, if like these folks, that have money and that know how to, move through the system. Most of us don't. Shit, it's just enough to try to find a fucking job,
Hmm.
right? That's gonna pay you enough to live. And these folks, they've already, they've it's just families, man. Families, old families that have been here longer than anybody else's family in any other city. So look at your own cities, right? you have a mayor, you have your city council, you have all these other things, but you also have these families that have most of the businesses in the city, that own most of the buildings in the city, most of the land, most of everything, right? And this is just a microcosm of the big scene, because over in these cities they're doing the same sort of corruption, and washing hands, and patting backs, and asses, and fucking, here you go, run along, here's your fucking, here's your money. And it's just all, it's all insider shit, you know what I mean?
Mm.
It's a they're
Like,
all
how do we
clubs that
know?
we ain't in.
Right, how do we know Area 51, right? How do we know Area 51 isn't just an underground bank for these families? They all have their own little portion of the mountain that they can just store nothing but just untraceable, unmarked cash. You know what I mean? And jewels and everything that they seize from people and all this shit. They're just storing it in a mountain somewhere, and all these underground tunnels that we have going I mean, come on, man. And the thing of it is that we pay them to do it.
Right? Those think tanks. Those think tanks that like Pence has, and a lot of these other people up on the hill, they have think tanks that we pay with taxpayer dollars to figure out how to fuck taxpayers even harder. I mean, how does
Yeah,
in what world does that like make sense? And so
these
yeah, I
people
just
tax
think,
our dollar 3, 4 times.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, they do. I mean, I'm going through it right now. I had, I all right, so here's how screwed up this shit is, right? So I didn't work. It rained for a month in California. I didn't work for probably 6 weeks. Just there was no work, supply chain, all this stuff. It started trickling down to my to the construction industry in the Bay Area. So everything like our fuck, what's it called? Our medical is tied to our hours that we work, right? So we have to work 130 hours in a month to be able to qualify for coverage the next month, right? And so you also, if you work more than that, so 40 hours times 4 is 160. So if you work, full time for a month, you get 160 hours, 30 of it goes into your bank. I depleted all of mine because of the, everything is slowly shutting down, right? Or slowly slowing down. And so it finally came up. And so my daughter yesterday, I told you, she was playing around on the monkey bars, and I told her mom, I'm like, hey, she doesn't have coverage this month. Try and fucking be careful, right? Don't let her get hurt.
Mm.
And fuck, sure enough, she falls off the monkey bars and ends up getting a little concussion. And
Oh,
she did have it.
maybe she hit her head.
Well, she said she hit her back, and I didn't feel anything on her head, but I mean, if you landing flat on your back, I mean, that's a good
Mhm.
jolt, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so, she threw up in the car on the way to that. So that was like, to me, on the way to drop her off at her mom's to go, I was like, all right, this is kind of elevated now. So and I've never dealt with a concussion. And so I was kind of like scared, you know what I mean? Oh shit, maybe this is serious.
Mhm.
So, anyways, I don't have any coverage. And so now I have to pay the $1,000 for Cobra, right? So I can have coverage for the month until it reinstates next month. It's all just I don't know where I was going with that, but it just seems like it's just all a fucking, you know what I mean? There's just so many different things that you can fall down into, right? So take this for instance, most people couldn't afford that $1,000 bill,
Mm.
right? Well, shit, I could
I know
barely
I
afford it.
couldn't.
I mean, I can't afford to pay cash on it. I can throw it on a credit card and, Hail Mary, fuck, maybe it'll get paid down the road.
I couldn't. I would just have to tell my daughter, "Man, we're just gonna have to suck it up." I've had a couple of them. You'll be all right. You just gotta be more careful. But that's the thing, though. Did so? Let's ask this: Was that a manifestation? Right? Because like we hear things. When you play scared, you get hurt. And so when we take that and put it into context of life, when we're going through life, always being conscious of what can hurt us, we eventually fall into these traps. We focus on the negative, focus on what could possibly happen, and then it happens.
Mhm.
And then we're like, man, I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it. I knew that when as soon as I didn't have no insurance, something was gonna happen.
Oh, yeah, I did say something about it. Maybe, maybe, and then maybe that's just, the price you gotta pay for, those indiscretions I never got caught for, right? Those
Mhm.
those crimes I never went to jail for. Where I made a bunch of money. But I mean, that doesn't matter if you're a drug addict. It doesn't matter what kind of money you make because you spend it just as fast or you smoke it just as fast.
That's and these are the qualms that people really don't even understand. When we talk about we were just talking about this the other day, as a matter of fact, and yeah, people see us when we're dealing drugs in the drug life, especially me, because I was never a user. So people knew I wasn't a user. So they knew in their mind I had a boatload of money. Like he's got to have money. He don't drink, he don't do drugs, he don't do nothing. He's doing nothing but banking. This is what they have in their mind,
Yeah.
but it's never that. You're always chasing. You're always chasing because, like you say, we live us as drug dealers, man, we live in survival mode. We're just moving, 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 trying to come out, trying to figure out a way, but things are constantly happening because 9 times out of 10, most of your drug dealers are kind-hearted people, as funny as that may sound, right? We take care of a lot of people because we know that we have funds. So we're not going to let our sisters, our brothers, our cousins, and them go hungry. We're not going to let their lights be shut off. We're not going to let their phones be shut off. Before you know it, we're paying 10 people's bills, supporting 10 people, and
Mhm.
not getting a dime for it.
Oh, yeah.
So and then it's the pressure of just being in that lifestyle to begin with. You know what I mean?
None of it's
Dealing
real,
with
though.
the addicted.
None
None
of
of it's
none
real.
none of it's real. That's the thing that I realized when I was living that life, right? It's real when you're in it, but when you get caught, it ain't real because it all disappears.
It all
Poof.
disappears, man.
Oh, where'd it go? All your money disappears. If you haven't, like most criminals are not that organized. You know what I mean? And they don't
Right.
have the like you're not gonna go and get do a mastermind. You know what I mean about crime, right?
No,
And
we're
figure
not
some shit out.
protected.
Yeah, and so it's just crazy, man. The whole thing is crazy, and how it's set up, and how it's almost like funnels. Like, so just think of society as water, right? And the media is the maze, and they control the block, you know what I mean? Oh, water's got to go that way. And if you look at sales in a sales funnel, right, online, you ever hear the term, "Oh, like, we just need to get them into our funnel. We just need to get these people into our funnel. As soon as they can get into the funnel, then we can move them through the process and shape this and put them where they need to go." This is no
Mm.
different. It's just that scale. You know what I mean? On a massive scale. And they wield their power through the media. That's their first line, right? We're gonna tell you what we want you to know, and then we're gonna fucking flash it at you constantly until it's
On the
stuck.
radio, everywhere. Everywhere
Until it's
you're at.
stuck, right?
That's right.
Until it's stuck. Until you don't even know why you're thinking it anymore. All of a
Muscle
sudden you
memory.
Yeah, yeah, all of a sudden you hear that jingle, boop, oh, there it is. And it goes into your head and you start thinking it. That's powerful. You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
that's I mean, it's intended, but you weren't intending on having that stuck in your head.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
You didn't
Just
even
think
know
of
it's stuck in your head.
now think about all the stuff that we're so I was raised by a TV, right? That was my that was when I was a kid, that was my babysitter for a lot of the time.
Mhm.
And I don't know about any of you out there that are watching or listening, but how much useless shit do you have stuck in your head about, like, the shit you used to watch on TV back in the day when you were a kid? Like 90s pop culture? Holy shit. I could probably win some shit on that because I got so much useless crap stuck in my head from then.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And if I got all that shit stuck in my head, then it doesn't really make any room for new shit. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a brain doctor, so I don't know how fucking any of that stuff works, but it sounds good.
Well, I mean, let's look at our shows from the '80s, and let's look at the marketing, and let's look at all of that stuff, right? You're spot on. You know, me being in interracial relationships my whole life, these things are noticeable to me when it comes to how race is marketed. Because back in the '80s, you never saw interracial relationships anywhere other than maybe a few quote unquote black shows like the Jeffersons. I think you had the interracial couple.
Mhm.
Um, so
And
very
around
few,
and around the
very few.
Jeffersons.
But as far as commercials or marketing for corporations or anything like that, never. And then gradually, as these movies started to come out for the love of basketball and all these interracial movies, one, it was always a black guy and a white girl. And then you started seeing these commercials of black husbands and white wives.
Mhm.
Still no mixed children. Mixed children hasn't hit the scene yet until I think it was a Snickers commercial. I think Snickers was the first one that came out with the interracial child. I could be wrong, but I think it might have been the Snickers commercial. So, and now you're seeing it everywhere. It's every commercial is interracial. And they make sure that they have one Latina, one Asian, one black, and one white. So think of that in every context. Like you said about the jingle, right? To break that down, to get the listener to really understand what Sean said about that, right? Say we're sitting here and say we're watching the Super Bowl. And I pick out the Super Bowl because mostly that's when everybody watches TV at one time for the most part. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
even if you don't watch TV all year, when the Super Bowl comes up, we sit down, we watch the Super Bowl. And let's just say through that Super Bowl, you see McDonald's and they're advertising their two cheeseburgers, right? And then you hear the jingle, like Sean said, the jingle.
Da
Dun,
da
dun,
da
dun,
da
dun,
da.
dun. Right. So now at the Super Bowl, you don't even think about this because you've had nachos, you've had all of these things, you're not even hungry, but your brain records everything. So it's recording that commercial. Now, later, say Monday, Tuesday, you're coming home from work and you're hungry for whatever reason, right? And a commercial comes across while you're listening to the traffic report, and a commercial comes across, and you hear da 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 da. The first thing that's going to come to your mind, you're going to look up, you're going to see a McDonald's. This is why they're everywhere. You're going to see a McDonald's. You're going to be like, cheeseburgers. Man, I want some cheeseburgers.
Or
I haven't had no
fries or whatever.
cheeseburgers in a while. You don't even, and we don't even put two and two together that that's what just happened. It's just
Mhm.
that, man, I just felt like having McDonald's.
And do you know who supplies McDonald's with all their shit? All their food, all the stuff that, the potatoes for the fries, the beef for the meat? Mr. Bill Gates.
I was going to say, I have no idea, but I'm just going to guess Bill Gates.
Yep. And he does it for Walmart and for all of them. And I think that that happens for all these big corporations, these big food companies, you know what I mean? Is that that food's got to come from somewhere, right? And the more people that start consuming, the more they're going to need to grow more cows and all this other stuff, which doesn't seem to make sense because they're trying to get rid of beef, right? Because cow farts are supposedly what's causing climate change, um, or one of the things. And so it's so funny how it works, and it's all manipulation. and betting on the fact that we're going to be too lazy to do our own research. Ooh, that's bad. Do your own research. What are you? Some sort of
Mm,
Trump supporter? You
I'm
want to do
telling
your
you.
own research?
Why? Google does it for you. Why do I have to research? All I have to do is Google.
Fuck Google. Oh, so another thing I want to touch on too, because I was just looking at something, and it has to do with my around here, which was the two banks that collapsed this last week. So
Mm,
we'll jump into that because I got some really good juicy information about that that's just going to make you go, "What the fuck?"
mm.
You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't get more uh twisted than what I'm gonna share.
And again, it's how asleep Americans are, right? I saw a TikTok on that where a guy says he bought $100,000 car. He's like, you know, it's your birthday when you buy $100,000 car and then your bank collapses. You think that you're not going to still pay for? You think you just got a free car? You think that's how it works, partner?
He did just get a free car though because the government bailed the banks out. So basically, by their wording of what they said, and I can show everybody if the, you know what I mean, uh, a an article where somebody's talking about it or a news clip of what I was watching, but I, I don't
I'm
have any.
tired of these banks being bailed out, man.
I am too. I don't get a bailout. Shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, during the pandemic we got one, but I was thinking back to
Yeah.
2008
Yeah,
when
we really didn't though, because we got to pay all that back.
yeah, well they throw in these things, they throw in their stuff that they pass for the legislation. Oh, we're going to give you this amount of money and this amount of money and this and that. But what they don't say is like the fine print really is that, oh, you know, you're going to have to claim this on your taxes and it's going to be an adjustment. You're going to pay for it anyway, right? It's in 2008 we didn't get shit because I remember I was on unemployment in 2008 and all I got was my 450 a week. They didn't give anything else. So how is a person that goes from making 5,000, 6,000 a month going to drop down to 1,800 a month? So that's a third. So that's a third of what it cost you to keep your boat floating for that month, right? Where are you going to come up with that extra, 1,800? Where are you going to come up with the difference? Most people are not. That's where that's where they're fucking shaking the goddamn tree of class and getting these motherfucking dirt bags out of the middle. That's what they're trying to do is split up the classes. And they're never going to tell you that we're in a class system. They will never say that. But they'll tell you that we're in a racist, that everybody's racist. There's racism, there's that division, this division, that division, over here is divided. They'll never tell you the truth.
No, of
Because the
course
truth
not.
is, we're all getting fucked. We're
Oh,
all getting fucked.
the truth is
Unless you're
that
a
we're
billionaire.
slaves.
Yeah, we are. Unless you're a billionaire, you you ain't shit. Even the millionaires, they ain't shit either. Because that's not
No.
no money. Not
The
in the grand
millionaire is the
scheme of
new
things.
middle class.
Yep.
That's why these billionaires are sitting there saying, "What do you mean the middle class is disappearing? We have all kinds of millionaires." You know, that's where it's at.
Yep. They want people poor or at the top. They don't want that lower middle class. They don't want middle class. They just want upper middle class and poor.
Mm.
That's it.
I see my partner just joined in, Mr. Mordecai. He was just giving me a call. I sent him a text that I was live, so he just joined in. But he can definitely relate with what it is that we're talking about. But you know, it's crazy, Sean, because the more we try to get these Americans to understand the system that they're in, I think people are really kind of waking up though, for real, for real. I honestly really think that people are we just don't know what to do. And unite isn't on anybody's plate for some reason.
Well, because there's too much divide. You got the media that's telling you why you're different than everybody else, and giving you directing you to different aspects of the news that have nothing to do with what they're in the news for to begin with. You know what I mean? They just they obfuscate the truth, and they only report or not report for that matter. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Not reporting on something is the same as it not existing in 60% of our society's minds, because we got about at least 60% that are plugged into legacy media, which is, if you ever hear this, if you watch the news, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed, but if you do watch the news, you're misinformed.
mhm.
And you have to go and dig and do all your homework to find kernels of what the truth is, and then try to piece them together and make some sense out of it. Most people aren't going to go that length.
No. And the thing of it is that most people don't even understand history anymore. History was boring to them. It was to me until I understood the relevance behind it. When we're talking about truth, when we're talking about absolute truth as to what is going on our planet with humanity, things of that nature, you'll find through history that that has always been concealed. These people were trying to eradicate and control books. Like you would be killed if you had a book. The only place you would, I mean, to read silently now, right? This is a new thing. I just learned this not too long ago. To read silently back in the days, up to 500 years ago or more, you were considered to be insane. Nobody did that. People didn't read silently. These are all new things, but it's at the core level of it. These people have always, the elites have always been trying to withhold information, because as long as you can control the information, as long as I can control the knowledge I put into you, Sean, you will always be my slave.
Hmm.
That is just the way that it is. As long as I am indoctrinating your knowledge, everything you know about existence comes from me, then I can make you whatever I want to make you.
True. Hold on, sorry, I'm trying to find this clip
I
that's
mean, that's the
gonna
story of Pinocchio, essentially, right? He wanted to be a
Geppetto,
real boy. What does that
I'm a
mean?
real boy. Mhm.
He wanted to be free. He didn't want to be a puppet on the strings. He didn't want to be a thing that was only controlled by his master. He wanted to cut those strings free.
I never thought about that story in that way. I've never thought about that story in that way.
There you
That's
go. How many
crazy.
Americans have?
I
He
just thought it
wanted to
was
be a
I just
real
thought it was a
boy,
kid's story. I didn't
you know?
I mean, if you can you turn it metaphorically around and you go, "Oh, the puppet master." And I mean, that could be the government, it could be, whatever. It
Big
could be the
brother. And the puppet master loved Pinocchio in his own narcissistic way. And that's where we get into the discussion as to what is love and what is lust. A lot of us have been trained to believe that lust is love, you know? So we would sit here and look at the puppet master and say, but he loved Pinocchio. He made him from scratch. But for what? To make himself feel good.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what and it was because Pinocchio got him attention, because he turned that that wooden
He
boy
turned him
and
into a sideshow freak.
yeah, that too. I can't well, fuck, where'd this thing go?
But
So
that's
what
go ahead.
what so what I was gonna say about this is, all banks are too big to fail now. So with that bailout, so any bank that falls into this category, and they collapse, they're gonna get bailed out across the board now. Doesn't matter,
Mhm.
right? And so there was the two ones that the first two that happened was, one was Silicon Valley Bank, and that was, I believe, the sixth largest bank in the US. And so, but it wasn't a regular bank like Wells Fargo or Bank of America or any of those other ones. It was just a startup bank, like a tech startup bank. And some of these accounts, which is crazy because you're only insured up to 250,000 FDIC, right? Some of these accounts, like Roku, had an account there that had $457 million in it. W- Why, why would you put $457 million in something that you're only insured 250,000 of?
And
So
it's a
either you're
startup.
really, yeah, either you're really stupid, right? Or you don't know much about business because you're that's a bad business move
Or you have the inside of what's going down.
or what's going to come,
Mhm.
right? And so they're going to get all their money back, right? The 457 million, they're going to get it. Usually when a bank collapses, what happens is the FDIC comes in, they make the 250,000 people whole, right? The 250 grand that's insured, right? They make those people whole. Then they start selling their bonds and selling off all their other shit to pay off the rest of their depositors as much as they can, right? And some are going to take a hit, maybe 10%, 15, 20% you're going to lose. But that's how it's normally supposed to happen. Now, you might want to fact check me on that because I'm not a finance guy, I'm not a banker. But from what I've heard and what I've read, that seems to be the way that it works. Now, I mean, I, oh, just like if you know that this is going to happen, what's to stop you from loading up this account because you know it's going to take a fall, and you already know that you're going to get made whole because that was the plan. So the
And
second
I know
bank,
that they knew. I know that they
well,
knew. You know how I know that they knew, Sean? Because they all took bonuses right before this happened. All the
well,
execs took bonuses.
but here's the proof that they knew it was going to happen, right? A year prior to this, Silicon Valley Bank went and lobbied Congress to deregulate them. Right? There was an act called the Dodd-Franklin Act, right? And that happened after 2008. That was in, after the whole, shenanigans that happened over there. Um, they enacted this law, right, to protect what just happened from happening, right? And so they went in there and they lobbied and they fucking got it deregulated, and then they did it. There was another bank called Signature Bank. They did the
Mm.
same thing. Now the kicker on this one is so Franklin, the second half of Dodd and Franklin, he sat on the board of directors for Signature Bank. He did the same thing. He wrote and authored the law that protected the banks. He went and did the same thing Silicon Valley Bank did, lobbied Congress to have them deregulated, and did the same shit. So I mean, how dirty is that? You're the motherfucker that put the law in place to protect these people, but then had your own self deregulated, rules for thee, but not for me. I mean, that's pretty savage.
Well, because we're the slaves, and it's time for America to really kind of friggin' wake up, man, for real. We have these, we as Americans are raising these individuals to then take office to then oppress us, right?
Mm,
So these politicians are in a race to get into this spot because they know that's the safe ground. They get immunity, they can do whatever they want. And now it's like you say, they're creating the laws to benefit only themselves and their profits, you know?
mhm,
How
mhm.
else does a Nancy Pelosi get worth $300 million? How? How
A
does this
lot.
sheriff out here in a no-name county, right? Polk County, right? It's Polk County is notorious as the meth capital of the United States. That is where Polk County gets its notoriety from. And the sheriff is worth $20 million and does not and is completely opposed against his officers having body cams. Now, what the hell does that say, America? And yet these people champion him. Like this dude is God here in Florida, next to DeSantis.
Yeah.
He's the guy you've seen him on TikTok. We've all seen this guy on TikTok, this Grady Judd guy up here talking bad about criminals, making the American citizen look like clowns. He puts himself as this big righteous John Wayne type figure. It's disgusting. It's abhorrent. And we feed into this stuff, man. It
Mhm.
disgusts me.
No,
These
you're
American
right.
citizens, man, just disgust me. They really do. I don't even like going out anymore because people just disgust me. They're
You don't like
cowards.
you don't like going out anymore?
I don't, man. And people don't like going out with me because it's just not because I speak my mind, man, for real. I'm tired of it, man. I love my American citizens, and I'm tired of seeing these people duped, working, slaving to get nowhere. And then
Mhm,
they want to treat us like shit. Perfect example. Yesterday, we got this moving company. I'm not gonna put because I spoke with the manager, so I'm not gonna put them out there, right? But we got this moving company out here because people are moving from upstairs.
mhm,
So it was a very noisy day yesterday, so I couldn't really get much done. Now they got the way that they parked this was completely thoughtless for anybody else in the parking lot. Now it's kind of an odd design. It was a big truck, so they did what they had to do, but and we were inconvenienced for the while, but it really didn't inconvenience anybody because nobody was kind of leaving at that time,
mhm,
right? So it was okay. But now when it's time for us to go, we need all we needed them to do was just raise the ramp to go into the truck so we could back out and then they can continue. That was it. So
mhm.
now when I go and I ask the gentleman in the back of the truck, hey man, can you help us out so we can get out? He looks at me and he's like, yeah, when we get done doing what we're doing.
Mhm.
And and I'm like, nah, man, no, now. You know what I mean? Like you can't hold me in here. And I went to go grab the ramp to move the ramp myself. I'm like, I'll help you if it's that much of a hassle, right? It's just picking the ramp up and sliding it in, partner.
Yeah, yeah.
But I took a picture of the truck. I didn't sit here and argue with him. You want to leave the ramp down? Fine. We had to do like a 20-point turn to pull out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of these back and forths to get out. But I called the company. I let them know, like, listen, man, the point of that is why, as me as an American citizen, why why would you do that to me? And then you want to turn around and talk about how discriminated you are against. You want to turn around and talk about how unfair life is against you. But look how you're treating individuals. Look at the aura, the negativity that you're putting out, and then you don't understand why it's coming back to you.
Mhm.
Sick of these Americans, man. These entitled, narcissistic Americans that oh, my life is so bad. My life is so tough. All of our life, we're slaves. We're all going through shit. I may not be going through what you're going through, but I'm going through shit.
Yeah, right. I'm going
Oh
through
man,
everybody's going
stop it,
through shit,
America.
man. Everybody's going through shit. It's on a spectrum too. Just because, this person's shit isn't as dire as this person's shit down here, everybody's going through something, and it's I so yesterday I had to deal with a situation where at work where I have you ever ran across somebody that they it's like they want to attaboy for doing something you should already be doing.
Mm,
You know what I mean? It's like I was trying to explain, I was trying to explain something to an apprentice, and they weren't understanding where I was coming from. And I definitely wasn't understanding where they were coming from because it was like, well, I was late an hour, yes, but at least I came in. What's your job to be here?
mm,
That's what you signed up for. So I don't understand why you're arguing the point that, well, I could have just stayed home. You could
mm.
have, and your punishment for that would have been you would have made less money. Well, I didn't really need the money anyways. Okay, but then why are you here?
Right.
You know, why are you here? I don't like being here. I can't stand being here. It's very difficult for me to wake up, but I know I need to make money and I gotta fucking do this and that and the other thing. And I just suck it up and I come and I
Mm,
do what I gotta do and I go home. And I try not to affect people negatively that are around me through the day because they don't give a fuck about that shit.
no.
They don't want to be drugged down because I didn't check my shit in at the door when I came to work. You know what I mean? And so it's just it's really it's confusing to me when people try to make the argument, well, I did this. Well, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
You're not
Chris
doing
Rock said
anything
that.
above and beyond what you should be doing. And it's like you want to, it's like you want a reward for doing what you should be doing, what everybody else is already doing.
Yeah, Chris Rock, remember Chris Rock used to joke about that. Like he'd make fun of you'd have these parents. My kids go to school. They supposed to, you dumb motherfucker. You know what I mean? It's
Speaking of Chris
but you,
Rock, did you see his newest one?
yeah, the one where he talks about Chris in the slap.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's his name?
Oh,
Will in the
oh
slap.
no, they call the angry, the mad. I don't need another mad rapper.
The
I
mad
don't need
rapper.
another rapper mad at me. He was talking about a couple of different things. So I watched it last night.
Mhm.
So it's fresh in my mind. Um, I was never really a Chris Rock fan. I'm gonna be honest with you. I always thought that he tried to me, it seemed like he was trying to be the Bill Cosby, like the new Bill Cosby of comedy, right? Just
Mhm.
from,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? The cadence in which he delivered his act always seemed a little bit like he was trying to be, Cosby or somebody else. And so I always like kind of shied away from his comedy. I'm like, Chris Rock, whatever. He was funny as Pookie, but whatever. Um, and so I watched it with reservation because I only wanted to see him clowning Will Smith because I heard Joe Rogan talking about it. So
Yeah.
I put it on and I don't know where it was, so I just like fuck. Well, let's just wait. It didn't happen until the end, so I had to watch the whole thing, which I was pleasantly surprised.
Mhm.
I thought he was really funny
Mhm.
in this one, and so I was happy that I watched it. But at the same time, he I think he did a very good job in clowning fucking Will Smith.
I love Chris Rock, man. I always have. Chris is he's one of the few comedians for me that his brilliance is kind of like Chappelle in telling the truth through comedy. Um Now yeah, true enough, he may be taking off of some other people or however. I mean, that's entertainment and he has to stay relative and whatnot. But I think Chris Rock's brilliance in his stand-up comedy. I'm not so much about his movies or nothing. I'm not a movie person anymore anyway, but his comedy always had an element of reality, truth, life,
Mhm.
no, I've always respected Chris. I when that happened, man, I wasn't sure if that was real or entertainment. That's the thing. We don't know whether this stuff is real or not anymore.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But
It didn't look
I
real. It didn't. I mean, to be honest with you, it didn't really look real. It
the
kind
only
of
reason
looked
why it
staged.
looked real to me from the beginning because Will took that sidestep. When I watched it again and I saw him take a sidestep, he didn't just walk up and just kind of bop like this here, like he actually sidestepped and whop,
Mm,
and that kind of let me know either this is real or Chris and him got together and Chris told him, man, just wallop the shit out of me to make it look real. But I kind of knew that it was real. I kind of because I saw the tension building in Will. Will's a completely different person from who he used to be. Jada
mhm.
has this dude enslaved in his own right.
Oh yeah,
And
that's a
this
whole
was what
nother that's a
that's a
whole
whole
nother
nother, and this
lane.
was what Chris was talking about. Like, how are you gonna be mad at me when you put all of this shit on the table? Like your wife is out there on the internet talking about the she actually interviewed you about the affair that she had with y'all's son's friend. I'm
And
like, this
how inappropriate is that?
like, man, this stuff is crazy, man.
Dude, you're a cuck almost. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're and if that's your thing, right? You know, because there is swinger shit out there. There is, you know, whatever. I've dabbled in that a little bit myself, and you know, back in the day, and I was on drugs, but still, I was there. Um, and that's a thing, you know. People, sometimes you know, and going to some of these parties and talking to some of these folks, because I really didn't understand it. You know what I mean? Like, what's the thing? And I think a lot of these people, they realize that, like, it sucks fucking the same person over and over and over and over again. I mean, there's only so many different things you can do, different ways you can do it, how you can spice it up here, spice it up there. But the bottom line is it just gets monotonous, right? And it turns into a chore sometimes more than it does pleasure.
Mm,
So some of these folks would be like, hey man, well, we're not gonna get a divorce. We're not gonna get, you know, we love each other, but we're just lacking somewhere. So they start dabbling in other things and they find what they like in this, you know, lifestyle, right? And some of it is, you know, guys like watching their chicks get nailed by another dude. And
mm,
some of it is, you know, the chicks like going down or, you know, being with another chick and the dude likes to watch it, and whatever it is that your kink is out there, there is something for you. All right. So I get that. But I don't see any of those people dropping their shit on public platforms like that, other than like maybe Kick, but you're in groups with other people that are into the same shit you are,
mhm,
right? And so if you're putting this out there in public, you don't have no, you dude, shut the fuck up. And
mhm.
you're a public figure anyways. So you got no privacy. Shut up. That's the trade-off. That is the
Or
trade-off.
yeah, or take what's coming to you. I think that people should be able to talk about it, but I think like where with Will Smith, right, and these other people, and all of us really in society, is that we have to be ashamed of our deviancies or how we want to live.
Mm,
And then when you take a Will Smith or these entertainers, see what happens is you have Hollywood that portrays these people as these huge alpha male type uh, uh, figures. You know what I mean? Dominant male figures, and that's not who they are in real life. But they're public figures. So whenever they're out in public, they have to show this big alpha male demeanor. And so there's a lot of duality that goes on within these actors and actresses that have portrayed themselves to be a certain way on film, that they have to live this now in their real life to keep their fan base. Because like you say, how many fans would Will Smith have if he comes off Bad Boy 2 straight into a cuck scene? You know
mm.
what I mean?
Yeah,
People gonna be
yeah.
like, "Nah, nah," you know?
All right, I found this thing. So it's like 5 minutes. You wanna play it?
Go ahead. I'm freshen up my coffee while I listen.
All right. So everybody, if you're checking this out, I'm gonna play this clip about what we're talking about, and this is from Breaking Points. And this is a they're younger people, but they still have a great message. And I don't agree with everything that they say, but I like to listen to a lot of different things and get a lot of different perspectives on certain stuff. So I'm gonna play this real quick, and it's about the signature bank and how all of the all of the inappropriate shit that's connected to that. So let me share screen here with you. I'm going to do entire screen, share audio, screen one. Bam. All right. So, all right. get some.
Really good part here.
Oh, come on, quit buffering. This one is on son of a bitch. I'm on Wi-Fi on this one. I'm not hard.
Finally, let's go to the really good part here.
Might not let me do it because I'm on Wi-Fi and I don't have the bandwidth for it. That sucks. All right, well, buffer away, man. Next time I'll hardwire it in because all I gotta do is move some shit around here the next time. But yeah, this whole bank thing, man. What's concerning is that these two failed, but there are some of the other banks are in trouble too. Like some of their stocks are down 75%. Yeah, there's some concerning things that are going on right now. And from all of the sources that I've been talking to or listening to, it seems like we're right in the beginning phases of the recession slash depression that's been looming, and a lot of that's from the Fed rate hikes that have been going on, which is part of the reason why these first two banks failed. Now there's going to be more to come, and as they keep raising these rates, you're going to see more things start to fail, and this is by design. They're trying to get a hold of inflation by raising the rates, putting people out of work, right? Because when they raise these rates, it's cheap, it's more expensive to borrow money, right? And so these companies that usually borrow money for payroll, there's a whole thing that they got going. Not all of them, but some of them do. They can't borrow that money anymore because it's too expensive, and they keep trying to do it. And at some point, it just gets to the point where it's like, dude, we just can't do this anymore, and they have to go. They have to go out of business. But this is being done on purpose, right? So somehow, in their equations, raising the rates will raise the unemployment, right? It'll raise the unemployment rate, and then inflation somehow will go down because nobody can afford to buy anything. I don't know how that makes sense, but I know that seems to be what's happening. So who knows, man? I mean, you don't know what's real anymore or not. There's just too many things that are
Nah, and that's exactly it. These people are trying to break us. They're not trying to break the banks. They're trying to break us. And how do we know that all of this was going to happen? Because you had people like Jeff Bezos, of all people, who came out in November and was telling us, save your money. Do not spend your money. He knew what's coming. These people know what's coming.
Oh yeah, Bezos and all of them. He wasn't the only one. There was like probably, I think Bezos did it. There was three other ones that came out and said the same shit. Like, hey, I wouldn't be if Jeff Bezos is the one of the guy that wants you to spend money is telling you, hey, you better fucking put your eggs in a basket and not make any big purchases. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
you're a fool if you don't listen.
Yeah. Coast to coast. I'm doing
all right. I got the coffee topped off. I'm gonna go top off the old lungs. Be right back.
Oh yeah, I got some dabs I can or some wax that I got from my homie the other day that I'm gonna throw here in my my wax pen. And for those of you that are joining us, this is Coast to Coast Elevated Coffee Talk. It was Saturday Morning Perspectives, but I like Coast to Coast Elevated Coffee Talk better. So thank you for introducing that title, Thomas. Appreciate it. And I think that's what we're gonna roll with. And so I'm doing a share right now. And as soon as Thomas gets back, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get me some get some wax out of the freezer and load up my pen, and y'all can join me in a sesh. outside of my cannabis consumption, which is usually when I get off of work. I don't drink, so that's what I do to mellow out once I get off of work, and I don't intend on stopping that. Because if you can have a beer, why can't I have a joint? Mine is way more safer than yours, and it doesn't make me want to beat people up if I drink too or if I have too much.
No. I love these people that sit there and tell me, oh, you smoke weed? Yeah, I do. Oh, I don't do drugs. Get off the gas, man. Let me go open your damn medicine cabinet and see how many drugs you're really on. Come on, man, stop it.
Yep. It's funny, right? Like,
I don't do drugs.
I don't do that. Well, good for you. I do. And let me smoke a whole joint and you smoke half, or you drink half a fifth, and let's see who's nicer at the end.
Yeah, no question. And who can make it home?
Right.
Let me smoke for 3 hours and you drink for 3 hours, and let's see who makes it further. Come on, man, stop it.
That's funny.
Marijuana is not a drug. So that's why I say I don't do drugs. I don't take pills and all this stuff.
No,
You're talking about you don't have insurance. I haven't had insurance and I don't know how long. I don't go to the doctors. I do none of that stuff. I don't even think about it.
You don't need
I honestly don't.
If you're not, if you're watching what you eat and you're not eating fast food all the time, which is, a big no-no. That's so here's what I've realized. I've gone through multiple types of things, right? And I've gone through runs where I'll eat fast food, you know what I mean? I haven't done it in a while, but up to when I switched my everything, there would be runs where I would go, a week where I'd be eating fast food at least, once a day. And it gets in you, man. It gets in you, and it's like, because it's good. It tastes good, even though it's shit. Some of it tastes good. It's fast. It's easy. And it's cheap, right? That's what it gets you. It's cheap. And I would gain weight. And once I started making my own shit again, like cooking my own food, potatoes, broccoli, it doesn't matter what it is. I can eat way more of that and not get fat versus what I'm eating over here. And so it's really interesting how that works. You think that, if I'm eating a whole bunch, I'm just going to gain a bunch of weight, but you're eating a whole bunch of good food that your body can process.
Right. That's exactly it. The thing with the fast food, there's nothing there for your body to process. However, your body don't know what to do with it. So your body is always going to reserve. It's what your body does. If you don't know what to do with it, it could be useful in the future. We're gonna set this shit over here, right, in our fatty cells, and we're just gonna hold it there until we need this shit. And that's exactly what your body does.
Yeah,
That's you're exactly right.
And I've struggled with it forever, man. You're a big dude. You know what I mean? You're taller than I am. I'm 6'1", and I've always struggled. I think I'm 250 right now. So here's the thing. When I went to Great Wolf Lodge 2 weeks ago, it should have been embarrassing, but it wasn't. But we went on there was a slide that we were to go down, right? You got to hop on the fucking scale before you get on this ride, right? So that's how I know I'm 252. So I jumped on it, and she looked at me. She said, "Oh my. You can't ride this ride, sir. You're too heavy." And I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting. I thought I was doing all right." So I had to walk down and go to another one, right? And then my chick could have went on there, but she's like, "Fuck that. I ain't stepping on no scale to get on a ride." And so we just did. But I mean, it's like, I think, like, for me, 230 is my good weight, right? Because when I hit 230, all of the soreness in my knees goes away. All of the issues that I have goes away. and it doesn't, because I've been 226, 10 pounds lighter, and I look like I was still on meth, right? All
Mm,
sucked up, you know what I mean? My stomach is all like, it just looked weird. And some people just don't look good skinny.
mm.
And chicks too,
It's well, it's just I mean, it's just all about your peak comfort level. For me, I know that my peak is around 192, right? I mean, when I was inside and I was on the weight pile and I experimented, I went up to about 210, 215, and yeah, my knees started hurting. I started becoming lethargic. I broke it back down and I found that about 192 was was the weight that I could just run through the weight pile all day, every day.
Mhm,
But it's different for me out here now. One, I'm 7 years older. I'm pushing 48 now, and I'm not exerting my body the way that I once was. So how I put this to people is one perception that most of us don't have is understanding that our bodies are now breaking down. Once our bodies hit peak, it's now degenerating, right? It's not growing anymore.
mhm,
And the whole first half of our lives, we're growing, we're consuming because we're growing. So not only the calories that we're burning from the work that we're doing, but we're also burning calories from the growth. So that's these extra calories that we have to take in all the time. But as our bodies are breaking down, we don't need these calories. But
mhm,
yet, our whole first half of our life, we've been accustomed to eating these big meals. But now, like when people say, man, when I hit 40, now all of a sudden I got a gut. That's what that means is because we still consume the way that we always have. It's a habit,
mhm,
but our bodies are now breaking down and barely need those calories anymore. Right. The only calories that you need is really what's sustainable. For me, Sean, like I'll go really just have one meal a day is what I have. The rest I may pick at things through the day as I feel hungry, but
y
essentially just one meal a day. And that one meal, like me and my friend, we might go to a restaurant and share an appetizer.
mm,
You know what I mean? We'll just get an appetizer and share that and be cool with that.
yeah, yeah. I think I think as people and media has helped to fuel this,
Mhm,
our need to have to eat so much, right?
mhm,
Because it benefits them. It benefits them to trick you into thinking you need more food than you actually do. Because if you really like think about how much shit, well, I don't know about you, but I think about how much shit that I throw away at the end of the week when I go
mm,
back to the store, right? I don't eat nearly as much as I buy. But for
mhm.
some reason, I've got it in my mind that I need this much food.
Absolutely. And it could be just the perception that you having an empty fridge means that you're a bad dad. Or if
Ah,
your cabinets aren't full with food and Kool-Aid and all this stuff, that you're a bad dad. You're not taking care of your child.
mhm.
Look, your refrigerator's empty. Okay. Are we
So ho
hungry? No. That don't matter. Your refrigerator's empty. So a lot of it again is the like you say, the perception that they make us feel like we have to be in order to be this way or a
Mhm.
certain way.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure, and, like, I I start thinking about, like, not taking a lunch, right? If I wake up late, I don't have anything prepared, I just don't take shit, right? And so and I make it through the day just fine. Yeah, I get a little bit hungry, I get some of them hunger pains, but they go away,
Mhm,
and they don't come back until
mhm.
maybe a little bit like me 4 or 5 hours later, then like, "Oh, yeah, shit, I gotta eat something." And did I die? No. Did I you know what I mean? Did I starve? No. So how
Your
often could
body
you do that? I think you
your
can go
body
30 days without or 28 days or something without food. You can only go like 7 or something without water, but
water.
you can last for a long time without no food.
What they say Jesus fasted for 40 days, 40 nights, so but eh, your body will let you know when you're hungry, not your stomach. when your stomach is letting you know you're hungry, it's hungry by the growling, that's just because it's just a training. It's on a time basis. But your body, when you start to feel lethargic, your thought process isn't as sharp or any, then that's when hunger is really starting to affect your body.
Mm.
You may start to feel shaky, things of that nature. And you don't want to get to that point.
Yeah, no, you
But
don't want that.
it's all just about really like we talk about, Sean, you and I both, and a lot of what our show is just self-awareness, being conscious of yourself and questioning self. If you're sitting on the couch and you want to get up and go to the refrigerator to get something to eat, ask yourself, why? Why do I want to get up and get something to eat right now? When was the last time that I ate? Should I eat right now? Is it just because I just watched a freaking commercial and now it makes me want to go freaking eat? Be conscious of what we're doing. Question yourself. Why am I doing this right now?
How many times, anybody watching, how many times have you gotten bored? You're sitting there watching some shit you just ate, a little while ago. You're not really hungry, but you got nothing to do. You're bored. You go and you open the refrigerator and you stare at that motherfucker.
Don't even know what you want.
Yeah, looking down, look, shit. Let's see if you can see anything, even when it's full. And sometimes what I'll do is when I come back from the grocery store and I fill my cabinets and I fill my fridge and I fill the pantry back up, I'll just sit back and I'll open everything up and I'll look, and there's some sense of security there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, all right, I'm okay now. Why? But how come I wasn't before? Or was I not okay? Why does this make me feel secure?
Mm-hmm.
Why does that make me feel secure? There's no security there. That's not going to help me if the banks fail, if my bank collapses. You know what I mean? It might, extend my life a little bit, but I mean, I'm at that point, I got bigger problems.
No question. It definitely ain't going to help you if the electricity goes out for 2 weeks.
Right? So but I have done a little bit of prep. I bought,
I haven't.
I've got plenty of water. Well, I think I got plenty of water, and then I also have like a 50-pound bag or 25-pound bag of rice, 25-pound bag of beans. I buy flour by the 25-pound bag because I make, my own fucking pizza dough and cookies and all kinds of shit. So, like, I mean, I'm prepared sort of, but I mean, I think at that point, if shit hits the fan, I mean, we're gonna have to like sit down and holy shit, Tanner Campbell came to that. That's interesting. Fuck, sorry.
But it's ridiculous. It really, honestly, like, prepare for what? This again is something that they're training us to spend money on. Again, it's this fear mongering, doom and gloom. But people, really, I mean, sit down and think about it, people. All these doomsday preppers and things like that. What's the point? Okay, we go into a nuclear holocaust. These nuclear missiles, if they even exist, fly all over the place and blow up all over the place. You're living underground and you think that you have enough stockpile in there to last you because you've done all the math. And then you come out to find out that you don't. Then what? So it's just like, what is all the point of it when you could just get up each day, enjoy the life that you have as it is right now? You know what I mean? Enjoy the life that you have right now and just live the best day each day. Make each day the best day that you've ever lived in your life and enjoy that. And that's how I am from this point, man. I don't give a shit about these nuclear bombs, doomsday. When it comes to the point to if it ever happens and I starve to death, and that's just what it is, man. I don't want to live in that type of world anyhow.
Well, it's not the nuclear bombs that are going to fucking do anything to us. We're going to perish, I believe, from natural causes and, ELE events, from either the meteor, a comet, the fucking Yellowstone volcano exploding, here in California, I mean, we just talked about that 1862 flood, right?
Mhm.
Luckily, it didn't. The fourth storm wasn't that warm, and it didn't melt all the shit up there. But I mean, this thing happens every 1 to 200 years. It happened in 1862, so I mean that was over 100 years ago. So I mean, it's due. But I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to run around scared because this is going to happen. I
Exactly.
mean,
You're
most people.
underground.
No,
I'm just saying. You go ahead.
well, I mean, I don't think like the underground. Who's underground? Only the fucking wealthy people that can afford to build some shit underground are underground. Unless you go to Turkey, and Turkey has that, underground caverns and caves and shit that can, that they did use back in the day when they had to go underground, and they can fit like 20,000 people in there, right? But I mean, I'm not in Turkey, and I'm not going to fly to Turkey. I don't have nothing that I can go to underground. I mean, it's just, I was thinking about that the other day. I'm right by the water. So if shit did flood, if we did have like a tsunami or something, I would be affected. And like, what would I do? I mean, am I going to go somewhere? Am I going to try and like, honestly, I don't know if I would. I would
Mm.
just, if it's my time, it's my time. And hopefully
And
there's
that's
something better on the other side.
but it doesn't even matter. You deal with it when it comes, and that's the point, man. You got these people who they dig holes in their property, and then they go and buy these storage containers and bury them, and turn them into little apartments that are like 10 feet underground, 20 feet underground, maybe 50 feet if they could have the money to dig that deep, because the deeper you go, the more expensive it gets, but that's and okay, so you're underground and you go down there and the thing collapses in and you're buried alive now. And it was all for nothing. And you were an asshole the day before. So none of it matters.
And you're still an
You
asshole now.
you can go into all this preparation for doomsday, and then you could get squashed at Home Depot when all the plywood falls off the shelf. You have no idea. So it's just, man, just deal with what's in front of you, live life, be your best person, and just enjoy what we have. Me, honestly, I would just love, like for me, I don't want to go out with no comet or nothing like that, but I would love to sit back and just watch some huge alien invasion. For real. I just sit on my back porch, man, and just smoke out and just watch these huge intergalactic ships coming in and all kinds of crazy looking stuff just walking around. Remember Mars Attacks?
Mm, mm-hmm.
Remember that with Jack Nicholson? Man, I
Mm-hmm.
would love that. I just get high as a kite watching these little things running around, these little brains running around, evaporating people.
I think that I would have the joint. And if I knew, like, if that tsunami was coming, you know what I mean? I think I would just smoke out and sit and wait for it to just swipe me away, because why would I want to? Why would I want to survive that?
Mhm.
Survive it to what?
Exactly.
To be miserable for until I do die? Until something else does kill me? Nah, I'd
Mhm.
just rather go out, well, in the beginning, and it was a good run. Maybe I'll come back as something else sometime, some later, whatever.
And who knows? Maybe you don't even get taken out. Maybe they come and they see that you're calm and peaceful, and they're like, "Man, we dig you." And they take you back to their planet and they make you into some intergalactic king. Who knows?
That's funny.
You're
All
sitting
right.
over there in some other universe, like, man, who would have thought this shit would have happened? Where's Billy Joe when I need him? Boy, he would have never believed this shit.
And that, yeah, and a lot of it is so crazy that it's like, how can it be true? I mean, you can't make a lot of this stuff up. What So I'm looking for some stuff. I don't want to look at NBC,
I've been looking for stuff my
ABC,
whole damn life.
theweek.com. Don't want to look at CNN. How about NPR? NPR is all right. Let's look at
NPR was
BBC.
okay. What was the show that used to come on in the middle of the night, man? I used to listen to it when I was in prison
Coast
almost
to
every night.
Coast, Art
Coast to
Bell,
Coast, Art
yeah,
Bell.
and George
And
Norrie.
George Norrie, and then there was another one. It was a Monk, something Monk.
I don't remember that, but I do remember listening
George
to
Bell.
Coast to Coast, Art Bell, and when I was in prison, and I was in Nevada, right? I was in Nevada State Prison, and I was in Indian Springs, and I remember because it was out in the desert, and at nighttime, our windows, because we had windows, um, looked out over the desert plain, right?
Mm.
And we were in an elevator, so high desert. We were up in the high desert, but we could see all the way down into the low basin of the desert, right? And at night, it was the Nellis Air Force Base's practice uh, area, right? So
Mm.
we'd see tracers all night long when they're out there shooting shit. And I'd be listening to Coast, watching the tracers, and they be talking about Area 51.
That's cool as hell. But is that, do they not do that anymore?
Oh, I don't know. They probably do. I mean, I mean, it's the Air Force's bombing course. You know how they have.
No, I mean the Coast to Coast.
Yeah, Coast to
I
Coast is still there. I think it's with George Norrie now. Art Bell
heard,
stopped. Let's see.
I haven't heard that. I haven't listened to it in a while. But yeah, I used to love just sitting up listening to these. If I couldn't sleep, I would put that on and just listen to these people calling in, talking about these aliens and Sasquatches and all of this stuff, man. But I would love to see it, man. Man, I'll be ready. I'll just sit there and let life be life, man. That's the kind of the guru-ness that I've fallen into. Let life be life. And I just handle what comes to me, man. I'm tired of paying these people's taxes. I'm tired of all this stuff, man.
So it's Coast to Coast AM.
Mm.
And this is the Art Bell Vault, but live nightly 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. And who is the that's the Art Bell
Ooh.
Vault upcoming shows. Who is their guy now?
Mm.
I see a
What
picture of
happened to
someone.
Norris?
I don't know. But yeah, Coast to Coast always had like, that other shit, man. They talk about all kinds of different stuff, but most of it was UFO, Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster,
Mm.
all the weird shit that people talk about. Well, I don't know how weird it is, but it's stuff that most people don't talk about. Like the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I'm from, Northern California, supposedly that's where it's from, Oregon, Washington, like all of the northern coast is supposed to be Sasquatch territory, right?
Mhm.
There's anybody that's out there that has Hulu, um, go and watch the movie or the documentary Sasquatch. And it is about the Sasquatch, but it's about the marijuana growers up in Humboldt County and how they used the Sasquatch as a story to keep the cartels from coming into their area and growing, because that
Mm.
was a thing. The cartels were starting to move into Northern California and growing weed up in that area.
The
And
fertile land.
yeah, and then the natives to that area, the people that came from there, because a lot of it, so Humboldt started as liberals from the Bay Area, which are not the same liberals that we have now. But these were what the hippies were, right? The weed smoking hippies. They wanted to get out and get away from the system and get out of, a lot like probably what we're seeing now. And most people are like, I want to get the fuck out of this system. You know what I mean? This is horrible. And so they did. They went up there and they started farming. They started growing weed. They started doing all this stuff, right? And then around the time when, the camp and they're trying to eradicate all this weed, marijuana from Humboldt got up to like $4,000, $4,500 a pound. It was
Mm.
more expensive than fucking gold, right? Per ounce or per pound. Or yeah, per ounce. and that's a lot. A pound of gold is probably a lot. And so it was this really strange time. And then that's where the indoor sparked from, right? Because the camp was just eradicating so much shit. They just came in like fucking like it was Vietnam. And have you ever seen any of those videos of the shit they would do?
Mm-mm.
Oh my god, they just come in and just take whole farms out and light them on fire.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've seen the marketing propaganda, over
Yeah.
here in Florida. That's all we would get is the news of them, oh, big seizure found and whatnot. And they'd have these big fields with piles and piles, mountains high of
Mm.
marijuana that they're burning, supposedly. I doubt it was marijuana they were burning, but
So anyways, so Sasquatch was they made up this story, and I'm not gonna ruin it for you. You should go and watch it because it's a really good series. There's like 3 episodes, I believe. And
mhm.
it's yeah, that one, and then also Murder Mountain. If you're into marijuana stuff and you want to, history of Humboldt and all of that, those are 2 really good documentaries to check out about the marijuana industry in Humboldt. And I remember going up there once when I was tweaking. Yeah, I was a drug addict. I was a meth addict for quite some time, and I would do silly shit because I couldn't sleep, and I would go get myself into all kinds of dumb trouble. And one of the things that I decided to do one night when I couldn't sleep was get a friend and go up to fucking the that area, not Humboldt, but the outskirts of it, and go and poke around in the forest looking for marijuana. Luckily, I didn't hit a bear trap or a snare or a fucking hook
Mm,
or something, because they got all kinds of booby traps out there, and I didn't know nothing about that at the time. And yeah, so I was like, "Fuck, dude."
yeah,
When I
damn
think
sure
about
don't want to get your foot in a bear trap.
no, no, um, so yeah, stay away from meth. Nothing good comes from that.
Definitely stay away from that. But it's the same out here. We have crab trapping. People, they'll go out there and try to steal these crabs. You'll put a trap out there, and in the middle of the night, you'll have individuals go out there and try to pull those traps and steal your crabs.
I've experienced that.
Mm,
So up until this, I didn't do it this year, and I don't think I did it last year, but up until like 2020 was the last year I did it. Me and my homeboy, I got a fifth wheel, and so I take my fifth wheel up there. He's got a fishing boat, and we had like 10 crab traps, right, between the 2 of us. And we go up there for a week and just kill it. You know what I mean? Just
mhm,
drop them and stay out there, fish and do whatever. And that was a huge problem that we were running across because we didn't want to sit on our traps all day long, right? It's
right.
like I don't want to sit there on the boat. Sometimes it's cold and for fucking 4 hours at a time. But what we found is that that's what would happen, man. They would, and we caught somebody doing it. We caught somebody doing it. And there wasn't much that you can do about it because they're in like this small little skiff, right? It's little that they
Yeah.
can, go. They'll go and they'll just pull them. They'll pull them. They'll pull them and take what they can, drop it back down. They'll do it as fast as they can.
Mhm.
So we came around another rock on the point, and we seen them over, probably halfway through our uh, our line. And as
Mm.
soon as we start going this way, anybody comes anywhere near there, they
Yeah,
they
they
make a
take off.
beeline. You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? You're gonna go fucking chase them down, and then what are you gonna do when you fucking get them?
No, you
You're
got a
gonna shoot
sniper
them.
rifle.
You're gonna shoot them.
You
You're gonna
can.
put a hole. You're gonna put a hole in their boat, which that I wouldn't have a problem with that, but the police
Yeah,
would.
you absolutely can. Because that's protecting your business. These people are taking your business, and that absolutely can happen out there if you're taking. This is why that man is trying to go through them as fast as he can because he knows he can get his ass shot out there.
And so yeah, that's what right at the point where he stopped, they were all empty, and then they were all full fucking from that point on. So I was like, son of a bitch. But 2020 was everybody was out of work.
Mhm.
Nobody was making money. So it's like you had all of these people coming out, and they're all where I'm at, and I'm not going to say what group of people we usually see doing this, but it's one group that does it mostly. And I'll just leave it at that.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I mean, they go and they sell them. They'll take your shit and they'll go and they'll sell them for $10 a piece. And they'll get plenty of money for them because there's tons of people that want fresh crab, and $10 a fucking 2-pound crab. That's a good
Mhm.
price. So yeah, I got plenty of experience with that, man, and it sucks, especially because it's hard work. We
Mm.
didn't have a winch last time that pulls the shit, so it was always
You're doing it
usually
by
me.
hand.
It was always usually me
Yeah.
doing it because I'm the pool guy. He's the I'm the deckhand basically because it's not my boat.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing all that, the hard pulling. He does too, and his son comes sometimes, and we'll switch off back and forth. But I mean, that's hard
Damn
work.
right, that's hard work. Damn right. So you're sitting here, you got to pull that up by hand. Let's just say you have 10 crabs in there,
Hmm.
right? At 2 pounds a piece.
Hmm.
That's 20 pounds. The cage in itself is probably 60 pounds
And then the pressure from trying to pull it up through
from the
the
pull it
water.
up, the drag,
Hmm.
barnacles on it, seaweed on it, all this stuff on it. Man, that's work. And you're doing that. How many traps you say you had? 10 of them?
10, yeah. So what we do is we drop them, and by the time we drop our 10th one, it's almost time to go back around and pull them up because you
Mhm.
only need like 30, maybe an hour, hour and a half. Any longer than that, especially if you're in a location where they are, they fill up quick.
Mm.
But it's finding the location. That's why you have to have a line. You know what I mean? Because then you drop them, then you'll pick. Let's say you get your first, second, third. There was like maybe one or two. Then your fourth one, you've got 10. Your fifth one, you've got 5. Your sixth one, you've got 2. So you see where your concentration is, and so your next one, so you pull the ones that weren't in a space that had a bunch, and then you make your line this way instead of this way,
Mhm.
based off of that grouping of crab. Or what you could do is you could go circle around that spot with them instead of a line
Mhm.
to try to get the concentration. And they move, they're moving through on the floor all over the place, you know what I mean? And so it's just a matter of finding them, and then getting a concentration of them. And you're only allowed 10 anyways per person. So I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot to get 20 or 30.
Oh, okay. So you're only allowed 10. And then
Yeah,
what happens if you get caught with 20 or 30?
500 a piece.
500 for each crab?
500 for each crab over your limit.
Oh,
That's some you better enjoy that shit.
yeah. No, but it should be though. That's how it should be,
Mhm.
because that again stops the overabundance, that
And then
allows
last
everybody
year,
to be able to go get crabs.
so now there's another thing around here. So 2 years ago, they pushed the season out for recreational, right? Oh no, you guys can't do your deal because there's whales out there. You're gonna entangle them.
Mm,
Okay, most of us are 60 feet, 60 to 100 feet. And you got some guys that'll go out to like 150, 200, but those guys have the winches, right? And the big
right.
winches, the powerful ones that can pull that shit. Most of us don't. So I mean, by you doing that, are you really saving the whales? Or are you saving the crab for your commercial season?
Mhm.
So we don't wipe out a lot of it. You know what I mean? And so and then also too, if you want it, so here's the kicker. If you wanna do it before, right? You can fish for crab, but you can't use the square traps. You have to use the other ones that are like, I can't. There's a different one, and it's not really like it's closed. When you pull it up, you can't. You have to keep pressure on it because if you let it sit, all of them will fucking come out. So it's harder to catch them, right? It appears that it's harder to catch them, but we found that it was pretty easy.
Mm.
But the problem is that you had to go and retool, right? How many people are gonna be able to afford to buy a whole new set of traps, a whole new 10 set of traps, right? And then who owns the company that makes those traps? And are they connected to the people who regulate and push out the season to make it more profitable for the commercial, or the profit for the company that you have to retool with new traps? And the company was in California.
Mm. Oddly enough.
So, do you think there's something fishy there? No pun intended.
Yeah. But we're supposed to give people the benefit of the doubt.
You're
Hey,
right.
man, give me the benefit of the doubt.
It only looks.
Ah, I didn't know that though. I thought that once the crabs were in the cages, they were stuck. They couldn't come out.
Mm. No, they can. Well, they have these flaps, right? So they can get in, and like the square cages have the flaps that they get in there and then the flap shut.
Mhm.
There's other ones that they can get into the hole. So there's 3 or 2 holes in the trap, and they can get into it, but they can't seem to figure out how to get out of it. Some of them can. You know, I've seen some of the crabs get out of the square trap,
Mm.
especially like when one comes in and another one will just scurry out as he's coming in for the shit. But a lot of it
So the
has to do with having the right bait, enough of it to keep them occupied for that period of time, and enough to generate enough smell to bring them all in.
ah,
And I found that the best bait to use, like a lot of people use chicken, they'll use chicken legs, they'll use, squid. I've found that using rockfish, right? So we'll go out and we'll jig some rockfish, we'll cut the carcasses, we'll fillet them, and then we'll hang the carcass in there. And then we'll throw the fillets in a bag. And that's what they love, man. That's I've had the most success using that for bait.
mm.
But I mean, they're bottom feeders. They'll eat fucking anything.
I wonder if the crabs know that they're in a cage.
I don't know. Do you remember the first time? I was thinking about this the other day. The first time you ever got locked up, did you ever go to jail or go to juvenile hall?
Yeah, that's so my first time getting locked up was JDC. It was a small JDC. There was only maybe 8 or 9 kids in there, no females. Like at this time, there was never any females in the JD. It was news. Like we would wake up, man, they got a girl over there, man. We're gonna see a chick at breakfast time, you know. But yeah, it was all solitary confinement. You know, we had no cellies. The cells were designed for solitary. And yeah, I remember it vividly. I was 14, 15, and I would get up. We had one window that was made out of plexiglass, so it made a great bass sound. And I it's hard for me to believe, Sean. It really is, man. That I was just this kid in solitary confinement in a juvenile detention center.
Mm.
You know, it just seems like it was another lifetime ago or something. But I was that was me. It's my childhood.
So the first time that I freaked out when I got locked into that room, that little cell by myself. Like you go through like a caged animal when you get thrown when a can when an animal, let's say you're trying to trap an animal like a skunk or something to go release them in the wild, right? Somewhere else. They're in your house, they're under your house or something, whatever. When they get when they first, if it's the first time they've ever gotten stuck in something like that, they freak the fuck out. Like
Mm.
banging on shit,
Mhm.
fucking. I did the same thing when I got locked up the first time and I realized I couldn't get out of that fucking room. I banged on the doors, I kicked the doors, you go through I expelled all the energy I possibly could.
Mhm.
and then you wipe yourself out emotionally, right? Because when I was a kid, I was probably crying. I want to get the fuck out of here.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then there's this period where you've accepted the fact that you ain't going nowhere, right? I think
Mhm.
that's the saddest place to be.
Well, that's yeah, because your spirit is broken.
Yeah,
That's the whole point.
they broke you and put you into submission.
But it's where you grow from there. You know,
Yeah.
that's the conversation I had. I actually posted a portion of it, but I want to post the whole conversation. But that's the conversation that I had about coming home from prison. You know, is that this incarceration is a process where we have to create a whole new identity. And my recommendation for those coming home, especially if you've done a decade or more, and you've done the process of creating that new identity, this new person. You don't want to go to prison anymore. You want to be a good person, things of that nature. You have to kill that old person completely.
Mm,
You have to murder him and bury him, and he no longer exists. And then you create this new identity. That's why I say, you know, that's when Thomas FreeMe was born. When I came home this last time, that's my new identity, Thomas FreeMe. And I built Thomas FreeMe to be a certain way, the way that I wanted him to be ever since I was a child. That society didn't allow for that to happen, and that is my identity that I protect at all costs now, viciously, you know,
mm,
viciously. But
mm.
yeah, man, create you a new identity coming home and be that person and be make that person the best person that you can.
Well, this is my identity, Sean Dustin.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? The one that I had when I was the one I had, and let me say what's up to Chris because he said good morning, guys. Chris, what's up?
Yeah.
Thanks
Good
for
morning,
joining.
Chris. That's my
Thanks for
partner.
joining the show. Oh fuck, man. What was I gonna say?
Well, we were talking about what were we talking about?
Uh
Well, the new identity, and Sean
oh
Dustin
yeah,
was your
yeah,
identity.
yeah. Yeah. So back when I was, excuse me, back when I was doing my thing, my nickname was Mr. After Hours, right? And that was my persona. I was the guy that would go to the nightclubs. I would, have people come back when the club would end, and I had DJ friends that had and a roommate that was a DJ that had turntables set up, and we go, and I would continue selling drugs, and I would continue doing them, and I'd stay high. You know what I mean? It's like I would create this environment around myself to I guess you would all like I guess you would to satisfy every need that I had, right? I
Mhm.
needed to make money, so I had that covered. You know what I mean? Y'all need to stay up some later. All right, come on, I got you.
Mhm.
Bringing the women around from the club into
Mhm.
my circle, right? And so that was the persona.
Mhm.
And now, and then I use Sean Dustin now, because it's my first and my middle name.
Mhm.
And so that's who I choose to go by now because that's a different incarnation of what
Mhm.
used to be, right? And a more smart, a more a more
It's just a
rounded,
completely different.
yeah, a
Yeah.
more rounded individual that takes time to think now. I'm not perfect. I mean, Jesus Christ, far from it. I mean, I still react to shit sometimes when I should be responding to it. I still, have flare ups of not wanting to do meth, but like what they call it, like character defects to still pop out every once in a while.
Mm.
You know what I mean? That's
It's not
that a lot.
character. No, no, no. It's not character defects because that has nothing to do with Sean Dustin. That is Mr. Happy Hour, After Hour. Still, you haven't killed that person completely, but as long as you're aware that the enemy is still out there lingering, but that see, that's the thing is that has nothing to do with Sean Dustin. That's what the ulterior. That's what this new identity. We can never associate the old identity with the new, or you have to create a whole new identity again. It's that is Mr. Happy Hour that Sean Dustin has to put into the ground completely for all, and
Okay.
truly sink into Sean Dustin, the good guy.
Lieutenant Lawson, welcome. See you joined us. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on and checking out the
Lieutenant
show.
Lawson. Lieutenant of what? That's my question. What are we lieutenantizing?
Are you law enforcement?
Which you're
'Cause it-
welcome.
Yeah, ain't nothing bad if you are.
Absolutely.
I was raised by law enforcement. My dad, my grandma. Do you know? Interesting fact. My grandmother was the first female police officer in Berkeley, California, Berkeley PD.
Mm,
And then
military.
my uncle worked. He was a cop too. He was a cop for El Cerrito. Then he retired from that. This dude is crazy. He retired as being a cop. Then he went and became an investigator for prosecutors, right? So there's a name for it. He's some sort of an investigator for the prosecution. He did that, retired from that, he's collecting a pension from that and the other one, and then went and got a job from the marshal service. And he's one of the guys that brings you from the jail to the courtroom
Mm.
in the federal court. And he's probably going to retire from that and get another pension from that. Like, at what point are you going to enjoy your life?
Well, maybe that's his enjoyment. But yeah, thank you,
Possibly.
Chris, for that there. Absolutely, thank you for your service. The subject matter, Lieutenant Lawson, is we're kind of all over the place, but we're just talking about life here in America and our opinions of it and such. My phone is actually getting ready to die rather quickly, so my TikTok is going to end. But for those that are still interested, you can join Sean Dustin. You're still live on YouTube, right?
Well, I'm live on YouTube and I'm on TikTok. So if you go to @nowhere to go but up on TikTok, or if you go to SeanDustin.com, my TikTok is on there too. Is on my on the header for social media.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, and then if you go to my channel, I'm live on the YouTube as well. But I'm gonna cut off on the TikTok though. My phone is
So
gonna die.
what we started out talking about, Lieutenant Lawson, was the Hunter Biden laptop and how he is suing the repair shop owner for, as a countersuit to the defamation suit that the business owner put on them. And it's just a whole nother thing that just to show the climate of our country and our society right now. It's in shambles. It's in shambles. It doesn't look like anything that I remember growing up with, for sure.
Well, let's ask the lieutenant. Like, how do you feel, Lieutenant Lawson, about what's going on with the America that you sacrificed your life to and dedication to defend? Do you like what you see? What's going on with the American people? Do you agree with the government's agenda, their movement?
You want to invite him to there to?
My phone just died, so I'm out of the TikTok.
All right. How do you invite people?
Well, does he have 1,000 subs or more? Can he go live?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Nope, 840.
Yeah, so he needs some help. Those that want to subscribe and support your military.
Yep. Let's give Lieutenant Lawson some follows there, so we can get him on the ability to join a TikTok live. And I guess if anybody else out there is wants to chime in on this, you can, because you'll be able to hear them, Thomas, because I've got it all plugged through my handy dandy mixer.
I need to get one of those. See, that's the thing that I have to figure out, because like on my Thursday night show, right? I want to be able to take guests. I want to be able to take callers into our conversation. You know what I mean? Through Skype. I want my callers, my listeners to know that they can just find me on Skype and join in and call in, and I can answer them on the show. And that my co-host, who's in Michigan, which like would be you,
Mhm.
can hear my caller, and vice versa. If he has callers calling in, and such, that's something I really want to do. I want to grow my podcast in that fashion.
Thomas has no sound. So this doesn't go two ways. This just goes one way, unless we're on TikTok live going together.
Which mine ended, so you'd have to let them know that because they can't hear me.
Yeah, so that's what the problem is. So he's off of his TikTok, and you can only see him. So how would I get you? I wonder how I would get you, because I have a two-way a TRRS cable that allows. So normally, like when I go to Clubhouse and I do the same thing, Clubhouse can hear and communicate two ways with
See, how I do on my YouTube is how I'm streaming it right now is I am showing. I set it up because I go through Streamlabs, and I have it's set up to where I'm streaming a web page,
okay.
because when I connect to your stream, I have to connect through the website. So then I just stream the website through my site, and so my watchers, my listeners can actually hear you, see us. That's how I'm streaming mine.
Okay. So yeah, they can't hear. But what he said is he absolutely believes that the administration has us in a mess, but he can't speak too much on it, which is understandable. You're in the military, so
Right.
you gotta watch what you're
Is
saying.
he active now?
I don't know if he's on the stream anymore since nobody can hear you.
Mm.
We dropped down to one
Yeah, my man
viewer.
Chris followed me over here. But
So
I can't stay on too much longer. I gotta get on. Man, I got a big plate today. I got a meeting coming in. My plate is getting full, Sean, and the issue is all of this is nonprofit work for the most part.
Mhm.
So I don't get paid for this. It's all strictly donations, and so a lot of my day, a lot of my week, a lot of my time is consumed in nonprofit work, and I have no money coming in. And then I got to turn around and find the time to go out here and try to Uber, to try to cover these bills. And it's really, really wearing me down.
Well, that's by design. They don't want to make it easy for you to be able to spread the truth and get paid for it.
Listen,
Are you kidding? No, we can let you spread the truth, but you ain't getting shit. And then we're gonna wear you down that way, because at some point you're gonna get tired of expending the energy and not getting anything in return. And then the algorithm plays a part in that, and you know what I mean? Because they can control what you say and who gets to see it and how far your reach is,
that's the
unless you
biggest
want to
thing.
play the game, and speak the truth, but then tell the narrative. To speak the truth, support the narrative.
Right.
That's the only way you're going to get your shit out there and recommended. You may not even get it recommended just because you're talking about the truth. That's in there. That pieces of what's really going on is in there. So it's just a fucking stupid dance we got to do.
It is. It's the biggest thing, especially when you put all your time and effort into something, and you can watch it start to take off. That's the biggest thing. You'll watch this thing because you know that it's gonna reach a lot of eyes. It has a potential to go mainstream viral, and all of a sudden it'll be up to 1,000, 2,000 views within 5 minutes, and then it just stops.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll get like 2 more views after that, and you're like, what the hell? How does this happen? So
I
it's
experience that
discouraging
all the
to
time,
you.
man.
Yeah, it's discouraging to you, but it's understanding what gets me up and motivates me each day is understanding, again, history, going back to what we said from the top, knowing that these people have constantly tried to suppress history, the truth, for eternity. So that's what motivates me each day, is to get up and keep pushing the truth, like you say, my truth, my living experience, and how my brain has been able to process it,
Mm,
you know. So if I have
yeah.
one listener, two listeners, three listeners, listen, man, I know that it's out there in the universe, and maybe 100 years from now, if we don't get wiped out from little brain aliens or meteors or nuclear weapons or whatever, my message is still going to be out there,
Hmm.
you know. So that's why I do it, man.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm well, partly because I'm stubborn too. I don't want to. It's like, dude, I'm this far invested. I've been doing this shit for 5 years. I've got 200 fucking episodes almost, and I've done over almost 250 interviews in 5 years. And
Mhm.
it's like, I'll be damned if I'm gonna fucking let you run me off because I can't figure out this fucking formula.
I'll tell you what, since I changed the titles, my thing has taken off. It really has. Since I went back and changed the titles, I've I just went through 1,000 downloads within 2 weeks. I've never done that.
Hmm. Yeah, I haven't changed any of the titles. I just
Go back
gotta
and change the titles, man. Start working on like 5, go all the way to the beginning, do 5 a day. Change the title, just change a little bit of the description,
to what?
and just
But what do you change it to?
more keywords. So like and get rid of names. So like a lot of my episodes was like people's names. High, live discussion with such and such. Nobody
Mhm,
knows who this freaking person is. And when they run across that episode and see it's 2 hours long, who is going to sit down and invest any kind of time into that when they don't even know who it is?
mhm,
So it's, instead of using the name, like say, for instance, one of my dearest to me episodes was with Dr. Uh, uh, Robert Roten, which was the Arizona Trauma Institute. And him and I were talking about juvenile mental incompetence and things. Um, Very important discussion, but didn't get a lot of views because at the time it was Dr. Roten, uh, trauma specialist, Arizona Institute, I think was the title. Who the hell is going to click on that? They have no idea what it is. But I changed the title to how mental mental deficiency. I can't remember the thing that, because it's been over a year, but I changed it. I just changed the title to
so is the keyword the how?
yeah, how to mental what the damn mental health, right? Mental health, because I think that's what it is how to substantiate mental health amongst juveniles, some long title. I don't know. But I put a lot of keywords in there, how to, juvenile, things of that nature. So change your titles to be a short synopsis of what your description is, like we see in the big headlines in the newspapers,
Mhm,
big
mhm,
bold head, think in that fashion as something that is going to get the person to say, "Ooh, that's interesting right now." Right?
mhm.
Mental health is a big search engine. A lot of
Yeah.
people are searching for mental health. So it's putting key phrases, because that's what that guy told me. He's like, "Man, two things that I see, your inconsistency and your titles." He said, "Don't put numbers in your titles, and don't put names. Make your titles a little more descriptive." And he says, "I guarantee you'll see it, just a change from that." And man, I have,
You
I
know what I
really,
could
really
do?
have.
I could start with just removing the numbers because there are some like a lot of my earlier one all are numbered. Number blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I can do that. I can go in and take that off and see if anything happens, and then think about some other stuff to do. It just all takes time, man.
Put the numbers. What his suggestion was is, if you're gonna have numbers on your podcast because you reference different things, go back to episode 252 to hear more on the discussion that we're having now, whatever. Put those in your description.
Okay.
In the title, he said because numbers drives the algorithm crazy and it'll just discard it because nobody's searching numbers. You know what I mean? Nobody's going into a search engine and just typing numbers. So
No,
it's,
yeah, that makes sense.
you know what I mean? So it's what are the people typing in the search engines that is going to trigger your episode to go in front of them?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That it would confuse it. Like, all right, well, what do I do with this?
Right.
Especially if it's at the very front of the episode. It's like one
At the
night,
front of the episode, right.
one number 196. Where the fuck do I put this? Where does this go? How do I categorize this?
Well, that and how many 196s are out there in the search world?
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that part.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's got a trillion upon a trillion 196s that it has to reference through.
Oh, yeah, and that's 196 in any like hashtag 196 in anything out there, right?
And anything, right?
Okay. Yeah, SEO is really important, but it's hard to understand, especially if you're not like in that,
Mhm.
like trying to wrap your head around it. Like, even just the whole content creation thing and algorithm and being discovered and building an audience. I mean, it's you think that it would be a lot easier than it is because you see, you watch Joe Rogan and you see Jamie and you see all, you know what I mean? And it just seems so simple. And
Hmm.
then once you get into the nuts and bolts of it and realize, oh shit, there's like 6 lanes to this.
Hmm.
And what you see and me talking to you, this is a fun part.
Hmm.
This is a fun part of content creation is, having the conversations, doing the thing, doing the interview, talking. Now the hard part is everything after it because that's the boring, monotonous, the post here, post there, make sure you post at this time, not that time. And sometimes you're like with me, TikTok versus YouTube. What's hot on TikTok for me is a dud on YouTube. And what's hot on YouTube for me is a dud on TikTok. I don't understand why. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what I'm experiencing.
And then if I'm going to take a video off TikTok and try to multi-stream it on different platforms, I'm going to be shut down, right? Because all these other platforms are trying to shut TikTok down. So do you think I can take a TikTok video and show it on YouTube and YouTube's going to promote that video? Of course not.
That's what I do too, because it's
As
it's
soon as it
simple.
sees that yeah, of course, it's fast and it's efficient, but as soon as YouTube sees that TikTok watermark, it's going to shut it down. It don't want its people going to TikTok.
Oh, maybe
So
that's why the ding 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 stop.
so what I have to do is I use a couple different platforms or just my regular camera phone is do the recording and then share that actual recording out to the different platforms, you know?
How much more time does that take? Does that add like another hour to it?
No, because it's essentially the same. The only difference is that TikTok has such a great editing platform for you to design a great video that you then want to share that on the other platforms because these other platforms don't have that great editing material to it.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, your video is going to vary from YouTube to Instagram because YouTube you can pretty much just only put a text in it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? S- so but it gives it some variety. So yeah, you're gonna put an extra little bit of time because it's not just a plug and play on each one. You actually have to physically get in there and do each one for each platform.
Mhm.
But this is what we're talking about. What the people don't understand, and especially our family members or people that are close to us that don't understand the time and effort that goes into this here. And for people like us, like we do everything.
Mhm.
We do everything from start to finish, the editing, the promoting. So just to go into this right here, which this kind of for me and Sean, we just kind of threw this together. This wasn't planned, and we said, hey, we should do this every week or whatnot. I haven't even really been able to post any of these episodes that you because I have so many other things, salute, so many other things that we salute that we have to go through that it I'm backlogged.
Mhm.
But it's the yeah, this is the fun part, but I truly can't enjoy this because one, I don't have an editor or anybody on the sideline that's making sure that I'm not muted, making sure that my sound is right, making sure that video feed is going out and that I'm still live. So I have to pay attention to all of that,
Mhm.
which distracts me from the conversation holistically. I'm listening to one, and we're having deep discussions.
Yep, and you see that, right, when I'm over here and I'm like, I'm trying to listen to you and it's like you can tell that
Mhm.
I didn't catch anything that you said, and I'm just, uh-huh, uh-huh.
And it's difficult, especially when I have a guest on where I have to stay plugged into this conversation because I don't want my guest to think, well, man, this guy calls me on his show. He's not even paying attention to me. You know what I mean? So
Well,
it's
he
just
asked me to
understanding
dinner, gives me a plate, and then walks off.
and then walks off, you know? Because somebody mentioned that. Somebody to me the other day, like, you play on your phone a lot while you're live. I'm like, well, I'm not playing on my damn phone. I'm sharing my link out to get viewers to come because I don't have somebody to sit
Yeah.
here and share my stuff, mass share it out to all my platforms. I have to do all of that.
So
So we're like a clown juggling 10 pins, and people don't see that.
yeah,
People just
yeah.
see the clown and they laugh at him.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's true, and they don't know what it takes because 'cause they're not doing this, they're just consuming it, they don't know anything about how it really what it takes to do it all. So I belong to this thing called the Truth Seekers Tavern over on Clubhouse, and this is what I'm gonna try and what we should be forming. You should I think that we need to figure out, like, find a group of folks that like what we're doing and we'll share out our shit every time, right?
Mm.
And we'll, you know what I mean? And so, because what drives that algorithm is first the likes, the comments, you know what I mean? And so if you can get 10 or 20 people to join in like on a post of yours and just get in there and get active, and you do the same with theirs, you know what I mean? It's a give and take thing. You know, you post something, I'll do the same shit. That will help, I think, bypass the algorithm, you know what I mean, of what the content is. It'll be overtaken by the amount of participation within the post itself. So that will override whatever, you know what I mean, may slow it down from the content perspective. Does that make sense?
No, well, absolutely. And as my friend just came on, Miss Yvette Harvey, that's her and I were talking about that the other day because she's made a note to while I'm live to go in and stay interactive in the chats and answer people's questions and things because I just can't. I see them and every once in a while I'll try to make mention, but a lot of times I'm so deep in the conversation that I don't want to break that thought process, to for
Mhm.
acknowledgement or anything like that. And I just can't keep up with the chat and do everything as well. So she's done that, but that's what I was explaining to her was that is what drives the algorithm.
Mm,
YouTube wants people on their page. So if there's something that is there that people are staying tuned in with, interacting with, they're typing, they're texting, they're doing all of these things, YouTube is then going to promote that into their algorithm. Look, there's a hot live out there right now, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So that all of that is important. Especially on TikTok. If you have something where you see that it's like fishing in a way. If you see that this video is going, it's running. Every time you refresh, it has 200-300 new views to it. You have to go in there, make sure you're liking, make sure you're commenting, make sure that people are responding to you because that is what keeps that going. I did that. I rode that one video all the way to 130,000
Mm.
before it stopped. But I'm live in it. I'm in the car riding. I think I was passenger that day. I was able to work it, but I'm in there. I'm commenting. I'm liking. Every time I refresh, there's 30 new comments. I'm going through it. Because it was like I think 5,000 comments on this right here.
On what you were just doing here?
On the one video about the geeker.
Okay.
Remember President Zelensky?
Oh, yeah.
Remember we were talking about that where he was doing the speech, he was constantly wiping his nose, and we're like, yeah, he's a sniffer. And that went viral.
Cool.
But we have to stay active with that, yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and do a couple of TikTok lives, and with the information that I was going to play, like the videos I was going to play through this, and for whatever reason, it was too slow. It was buffering. It wasn't letting me go through. So I think I'll do a separate TikTok today on that and start and let those play, because I mean that's the same thing. If you're sharing other people's content that have a good message or a good perspective, I don't see anything wrong with that. And then having commentary after it and to discuss it, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think? What's your perspective on it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? And so it's also too, it's there's sort of an art to being live as well, right? and being able to keep people's attention and not just be sitting here a fucking dipshit rambling.
Right. 90% of the lives that go on now.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say they're all dipshits, but I mean, it's
no,
just
well,
people,
not dipshits,
people rambling about, and people want authenticity, but they don't want, if they're going to spend time with you, they don't want it to be wasted time, right?
That's exactly right.
So if you're gonna entertain somebody, fucking entertain them,
right?
Or inform them, or if you can't entertain or inform, I don't know what else. Be pretty.
Well, that's what when people come to and they're like, man, I want to start a podcast. I want to do this, and I tell them, okay, the first thing that you do is go record yourself, right? Whatever your first show is going to be, just record yourself, do your show, then go back and listen to it. How long can you listen to yourself? Right? If you're turning yourself off 30 seconds, your mind's already like, you know what? If you're turning your own self off after 30 seconds, other people aren't going to listen to you for 3. That's the bottom line. If you can't listen to yourself, nobody else is going to. So that's a good determination as to, can I run a podcast? Can I talk fluently for 30 minutes and not say the same thing over and over and over again?
Yeah. And that's
or become a nervous wreck.
And that's what I found when 2020 happened. I was doing those 16 interviews a week.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about the same shit that I was in every single one of them, damn near, because we talk about what we're going through in our week, right?
Right.
In the conversation, it just naturally makes its way into the conversation because it's something it's on your mind, it's in your mind. And so I was noticing that, oh shit, like, yeah, I mean, it's a different story, but it's basically the same me 16 times this week.
Right.
And so I had to I didn't put them out. I didn't edit any of me out, but I staggered where I put them episodes in, right? Which fucked me all up because it's like you're supposed to just let it go as you go, because then it gets too confusing. And now there's like 60 episodes that they're sitting there that are not evergreen.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Clip out. You clip out of them, turn them into small little TikToks. Turn them into shorts.
That's a lot of time.
Well, but you did them and they're there, and when you just have some downtime, you just work on them or whatever. But that's another aspect that people don't understand is material. Like, we have to come up with shit to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's paying attention to the news, being out in society, being active, remembering everything that's happened to you, what you want to talk about, and then when you talk about it, you can't talk about it again. You got to go get new material.
Yeah.
It's
and reading from something is a talent too, right? You're sitting there fumbling around reading through shit. And you know who does a good job at that is Russell Brand. Have you been paying attention to anything that he does?
I like Russell Brand though.
Yeah, he's got his shit dialed in, like all of his points, on his paper, and he'll go. He just went on Bill Maher. He went on Gutfeld, and he made the US tour, right? And he brought all these points to these shows, to these mainstream shows, and he's reading right off his paper, which was like, holy shit, because he was able to say exactly what he wanted to say, exactly the way it was supposed to be said, and he really did a great job. So, I mean, he's
No,
quirky as
Russell
fuck.
Brand is yeah, but he is that again is a human being who has formed his brain from his experiences in a very articulate, intelligent fashion.
Mhm.
I have a deep respect for Russell Brand because of his thought pattern.
And
You know,
he's entertaining while he's doing it too.
right?
Like,
He's
he's
entertaining as
fun to
fuck.
do. I laugh my ass off at some of the like off out of his neck shit that he says after he says something else.
Yeah, but that's
Just
it.
like what did he say when he did that MSNBC guy? Did you watch the clip of that where he just buried this dude?
No,
All right, so that's out there. And so anyways, he was saying something and he's like, I'll fuck it up, but go watch it. It was a good clip. He was
yeah, I
saying
have to catch up on some of his stuff. I'm so consumed. And then on everything that we talked about, that's just podcasting.
Mhm.
I'm a founder of a nonprofit. You're a founder of a nonprofit. You know what I mean? And you work a salary job. I don't even have that.
Hourly
So,
job. No, so I
oh, you're
wish I
not
was salary.
salary.
No, I wish
Well,
I was salary.
but it's, and I don't even have that. Like I say, I got to go out and do the Uber thing, but it's, man, there's only 24 hours in a day and you have to sleep at least. I mean, my hours is maybe 5 or 6 at least, you know.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's a tough juggle, but we're doing it and we're here, we're growing. And I'm happy with who I am. I'm comfortable where I'm at. I love everything that I've done and become. And I think even though that I'm under a great amount of pressure and stress, I'm happy with what I've produced. I'm proud of myself, Sean. You know?
Well, that's good. That's a good place to be. Because
Yeah,
I'm
it is.
sure there was a long time, where you weren't, which, navigated where you ended up.
Yeah,
Me too. Misery loves company, and you tend to, that's why addicts love being around other addicts because they don't get judged by, you know what I mean, for anything. They don't. It's easy. And I was gonna make a connection there, but as it was coming out of my mouth, I'm going, no, it's not gonna make sense.
But I got to skedaddle, man. I got to
Yeah,
get out
yeah.
here and get my day started, man. I love these conversations, though. These are great
Yeah,
Saturday morning starters.
we're gonna keep doing it. We'll keep doing it, and for sure, and hopefully, like consistency builds a following. So, if you guys are enjoying what you're hearing, and you want to help support the cause, beyond these things to help get the reach out there to like, share, whatever, fucking help with the algorithm. Um,
Absolutely.
every Saturday morning at 4 a.m. Pacific, 7 a.m. Eastern, till I slotted 3 hours
Mhm.
for this. So usually we've been going about 2 to 2.5. So yeah, for sure, join us every Saturday morning, and we'll bring you our perspectives over some elevated coffee talk of the things that happen during the week, and into just our regular shit, the things that go through our head.
No question. Maybe we can bring on some callers. We
No, we
got a
can.
mixer. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, there you
we can.
go. Shit, we'll bring on some callers and have them give their little opinions, and yeah, man, I love that. I love hearing from the people.
Yep, we can do that too. I got plenty of ways to make that happen. So we'll definitely have to uh do a little bit more research on this during the week for next week. And you can find me at SeanDustin.com. That's everything that I'm doing. The show, the videos, the guest appearances that I've had on other shows. If you want to advertise, there's a rate and tier level thing over there. Anything that I'm doing, you'll find that over there. And Paul, thanks for watching. Appreciate your patronage. And
Yeah, I saw the comment. Yeah, thank you, Paul.
and hopefully we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, no question. I'm Thomas FreeMe. You can find me at www.cominghomecoalition.com. It's a nonprofit charity here in the Tampa Bay area. We have a project going on called Project Start Fresh, where we take one homeless person, bring them from homelessness to self-sufficiency, and we fundraise for that. I mean, we have a raffle going on now where people can go sign on for the raffle to win free baseball tickets. You don't have to pay anything to sign on, but we are asking at least for $1 donation for each ticket, but it is absolutely free. You do not have to donate. But this is what we got going on there. It's all to battle homelessness, addiction, and of course my passion is incarceration. But you can just simply Google Thomas Free Me, or the thomasfreemeshow.com, cominghomecoalition.com. Any of those, you can find all my platforms. And thank you everybody for tuning in to today's discussion.
For sure. And as always, keep it 100, stay true to yourself, because everything else is just noise. Catch y'all next week.
Peace.